Last time on Turntables RPG.
As the hunters turn back around, they see the town that Halloween threw up on. One girl has gone missing. And they're not sure where she is. And the last people who saw her are all comatose. You make your way down the street, and every house on this street has the 12-foot tall Home Depot skeletons just kind of like standing there. You hear a couple of locks unlock, and the door kind of like pops open a crack a bit, and she says, and she looks at, kind of casts an eye up at Apophis and looks back at the three of you and says, "You're private investigators? You said something about looking in Phoebe's room?"
Yes, I would really like to do that. I got a hunch.
Sure.
Yeah, and Anne would go up with Chuck just because she can tell the parents are uncomfortable with this elderly man wanting to be in their teenage book.
Sure.
Okay, so I invade this child's privacy and flips through...
You're reading the most recent entry.
Yes, I think I'm reading the most recent entry.
The Necronomic Club.
Oh.
We've been planning a spell
Of course.
for Halloween week. The one tie throughout all this is that Ned had bought a book on eBay called The Book of the Evening. That is the spell book that they have been using for the past 6 months to do all these kind of like small things to kind of like test their abilities.
These guys were like becoming things.
They're definitely practicing.
It's out to Chuck that she found this book on Irish folklore and that there were certain passages of it that were highlighted and circled.
But there's one that you keep thumbing back to, and it is the tale of Old Stingy Jack. And it's essentially the folklore that eventually led to jack-o'-lanterns. Brought them over from Europe a couple months ago. The newest edition to Halloween
you
Town
stole
ship.
the bot? Like you took the bodies?
We went through all the legal channels.
But wait. Okay, look. I mean, look. What?
Why?
We wanted to have the authentic graves and real
Dutch
dead people.
corpses?
As you all question the moral implications of this town, just in general, you make your way over to the hobby shop. As soon as he sees you, rushes towards the toilet, busts the door open, and just begins to vomit.
Ned, we know about the Book of the Evening. We know about your interest in Old Stingy Jack. We know about your friends, and we don't know what happened to them, but we want to help. We want to help them. We want to help you. But in order to do that, we need to know.
The Book of the Evening. It's a book of Egyptian spells that were translated into Latin during Roman times. So we found a spell that calls forth a spirit and commands them to do something.
Do you know where the book is?
He goes to the cot and just lifts up his blanket, and there, sitting underneath, is a large tome. The wall just caves in, and you watch this large, coarse, black, hairy arm just wrap around Ned, latch its hands around the book, and then burst him through the wall. And from upstairs, you hear a howl and a crash through the window. As you set Ned down, begin to take in the house, you see in front of you, there's a large wall of vines. Inside the vines, there are these orange kind of like pods. Two of the pods, there's like human-sized figures inside, backlit by an orange light.
Course.
The far left, there is a pod that has been busted open, as if something emerged from the inside.
I put my gun away and then I pull out my big knife. And then I'm like, time to carve some pumpkins. And then I cut into one of the pods.
You watch this humanoid, this very twisted, it's almost as if someone took two torsos and combined them together so that the spines are like arcing in an X pattern. And you watch as they stretch out, their each shoulder branches out two human arms as they kind of like grab down to the floor. And you watch that the legs are kind of like twisted and knotted together, to intertwined with still two separate knees that bend, but they kind of like creak. Face like two heads collided together and like slammed into each other, one eye kind of like higher to the other and the one lower, and their mouth just kind of like malformed as they just kind of like look up at you confused. And you watch it just kind of like fling itself, and every creature, even the one that was on the wall that attacked Apophis, seems to be gunning for this book. So, Chuck, you are holding the book. I'll say Ned has kind of like blinked, and you see some focus in his eyes.
Can you cast the spell?
He looks at you, and his like red eye just kind of like drifts off to the side. And he says, "You have to cast the spell."
Ah, shiitake mushrooms.
And he's like, "I'll help you."
Oh,
And like
cool,
his eye kind of
thanks.
like wonks out a little bit. Bowed legs just kind of like stamping towards the wall. Apophis, you feel the claws of the werewolf just slam you up against the wall, and the werewolf kind of like pounces off to the side, and the two of you watch as the creatures join into the wall, and those orange spheres begin to wrap around into ridged sections. And at the top, you can see where the stem of a pumpkin would be.
Very cool.
From the darkness, this young girl with shoulder-length black hair kind of like stretches down from the ceiling. The gelatinous, like formation, kind of holding these monstrosities and humanoid bodies floating inside. A face kind of like begins to morph on the fleshy exterior, and you hear a. The book flares, and for a moment, everything just like suspends in midair as the stilled air just rushes forward and just punctures a hole into the side of this building. And right there, the full moon just streams in, the beams of moonlight just slamming into the pumpkin in just like a huge pimple. The gelatinous form just kind of rises, and you pause there for a moment. These kids like breathing quietly as a figure kind of steps out into the gaping hole of the like that's open from the house, kind of like looking down at you in this lower floor. Cowboy
like
hat in
every one of
hand,
us
huge
has a
rifle
flag.
in his
You-
arm, and he looks at the four of you and he says,
You bastard.
"You're missing the trick or treating."
I literally
And
hate
that's where
you.
we'll end tonight's session.
My name is Dr. Alexander Rose, and as hard as it may be to believe, I am a vampire. Well, at least partly. I don't even truly remember how this came about. You see, I had a problem with certain controlled substances. I was a user. I also gave freely out of the pharmacy connected to my clinic. There were many that I shared with. All of this culminated with one night, one bite, and my life changed forever. I'm now hunting for my sire, the one who turned me into this, and for any knowledge on my unique condition, while trying to fix the life that I found myself in. I fight the urges. I work to try and make the world now a safer place, for those like I once was, and for those like I am now. To prove my humanity remains, and that I'm more than monstrous.
My name is Anne Darelay, and it's lovely to meet you. For the bulk of my career, I've been a dating coach. This has been a bit contentious for my parents, who think that there are more respectable paths for me to take. What's important to me is that I'm helping people. That's not what got me to where I am now. One day, I stirred from a nap with a message from an unseen deity looping through my head. The apocalypse is coming, it said, and it is your duty to ensure it comes to pass. Something inside me had woken up. As silly as it sounds, I had powers. A year has passed, and I'm no closer to learning the origin of these powers, or bringing about the end of days at that, but I've still found a way to put them to good use. If you ask politely, I'll still give you tips on flirting with a beautiful stranger at the bar, but if they turn out to be a shapeshifter, then I'll be the one to take them out.
I am the head of Apophis, the Egyptian snake god prophesied to swallow the sun and bring about the end of the world. I was summoned from my slumber about 20 years ago by a group who didn't understand the weight of their actions, by a group that failed to acknowledge my power. And so I was split. I should have been risen as a horrifying, monstrous snake, large enough to swallow the sun, but instead I'm just the head of one. As I wondered, contemplating the life I now had before me, this form couldn't bring about the end of days, I began to appreciate the world around me and see what it had to offer. The apocalypse is my destiny, but I'm not sure it's the future I really want.
The name's Chuck Duval, though some people might be more familiar with my old work title, the Silencer. You could say I was a hitman. I used to take out anyone for the right price, be it people or monsters. How many people I killed is a secret between me and God. I've been retired for the past couple of years, but things change. Retirement got boring, and I don't have that much time left to waste doing crossword puzzles in between my daily dose of Vicodin. So might as well use it to silence a few deadbeats on my way out.
1 second, folks. Recalibrating the sonic rifle. Almost there. Hot damn! Oh, shit. Oh, I apologize. Let me introduce myself. My name is Theodore Ulysses Franklin. You can call me Teddy. Born in good old San Antonio, Texas, back in 1959. My mama was Mexican, my daddy a cow rancher, and sí, hablo español. After graduating from MIT with various degrees, I delved into some of the fringe sciences. There, I discovered the existence of the supernatural, and I realized my purpose: researching the unexplained and protecting normal folks from the terrors in the dark. My savings went into building old techs, my mobile base of operations, out of the scraps of a 442 Atlantic steam locomotive. Old Tex and I travel across the country, fighting monsters, protecting people, and riding the rails.
Hello.
Happy
And
New
we
Year.
should be live.
Huh?
Hi. What?
There you go.
Who?
Us?
What?
I don't know.
Who are
Me?
you?
I would never.
No.
I would.
Yes. I appreciate. I hope everyone enjoyed the zoomed in character intros. Just appreciating that Patrick Costa art. So it's very good.
Listen, Apophysis abs were all
Yeah.
you really wanted to see anyway.
It's very true.
It's true.
That's what you came here for, right? Like, I don't know why
I mean,
else would
I'm
you.
here.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's why
Honestly, I'm leaving.
This entire mystery is actually devoted to Apophysis abs. So
Okay, good. I'll stay.
the mystery
speaking-
of how he got so buff.
Yeah,
You know.
it's all natural, baby. Anyways, welcome to Turntables RPG. We are an experimental role-playing system or stream. Excuse me. This is not an experimental system yet. Currently playing Monster of the Week. Here, the cast takes turns being the keeper for different mysteries, while collaborating with the past and future keepers to weave a continuous narrative. So basically, we just swap back and forth. It's my turn this week. Hi, and now over to Saul for the news. Saul.
Yes, so we have a couple of announcements. Our Halloween special VOD is up on YouTube. If y'all want to send it out to friends or check it out, or if you're looking for a spoopy time or something very graphically gross to have on in the background while you're making dinner or something along those lines, it's a great listen. Trust me, I've listened to it several times in the past week and a half. My second announcement is during the special, we talked about having live transcriptions on our stream, and we are still currently working on that. We apologize for the wait. There's a couple of technical snafus that we are realigning and reconnecting, but we will have that up soon. It's top of the queue for sure. And then the last announcement that we have is Patrick Costa, the amazing artist that did our character busts and the full art character designs of our specific Monster of the Week characters, currently has his commissions open. So follow him on Instagram on PCInc_, and hit him up if you want your original character to be drawn, or maybe draw the character of a loved one for like an upcoming gift or something along those lines. They do amazing work, and we cannot like uplift them enough. They're just amazing. So please do that and send some love and follows their way. And that's it for me.
Anybody else got anything to add on to that may not have been said? Okay. Shall we begin?
Yes.
Sure.
All right. hang on.
Yes.
Let's make sure that I do this right. Hey, I did. Our scene opens in the inside of a small apartment. A man is buttoning his shirt back up and then sits down at the foot of a bed to put his shoes on as well. A woman lies in bed, covered up only by a blanket she holds against her chest as she smokes a cigarette. She appears to be college age, while the man in his 40s. She has a picture of the two of them sitting on a nightstand near the side of her bed. He pulls on a coat, leans down, and gives her a kiss. "Thank you for another wonderful night," he softly whispers, and she winks back. "Don't stay away too long." And he grins and nods before exiting the house. Inside, she smiles after him, picking up the photo and softly touching his face on it. We cut back outside, and we see him looking back over his shoulder and continuing to fix his hair. The weather has turned cold enough in the night that he can see his breath. After making sure no one else can see him, he slips his hand in his coat pocket and pulls out a ring that he slides back onto his left ring finger to cover up a small tan line. As he does this, the camera pans just slightly, and we see a figure standing behind him in a hoodie. He moves carefully and casually through the darkness of the night. The moon overhead sheds light below, allowing him to see his typical journey home through the alley behind a local building. As he enters the alley, the figure behind him appears once more, this time much closer. He finally takes notice. Whirring around, he screams in start as the figure is near his face, near face to face with him. The man stumbles back, but the figure grabs him very quickly. A flash in the moonlight can be seen as the figure pulls something sharp from his pocket and plunges it into the man's chest. The man screams, but they quickly begin to fade, and we can see the figure leaning in closer to him. He softly whispers in his ear, his voice eerily jubilant as the life in the man begins to fade. We are left with the words of the figure as the camera slowly pans out to show the back of the Big Zitti. She hungers. Welcome back to Monster.
Nice.
Welcome back. So, it's maybe a couple of days later, and everyone is arriving in the small town of Illbrook, Tennessee. Alex has contacted all of you after he had in turn been contacted by a friend within a certain agency. It's of interest, is all he's told you. Apparently, people have been getting murdered in this small town over the recent 2 weeks. Now, normally that may not immediately attract your eye. However, the strange thing is that each victim, no matter how they died or how they were killed, their hearts have gone missing. They've not been cut out. They've not been ripped out. They're just gone when the autopsy is complete. Then, a few days later, the body always disappears. They don't know where it's coming from. They don't know why it's happening. All they know is that the heart is gone, and then suddenly the body disappears as well. So Alex has told you that he will meet you in the morgue with the most recent victim that he's had a chance to examine, as well as introducing you to his friend and their agency. But now it's up to you. It's all you.
So I think we all agreed that we were going to be traveling to Illbrook via the train. So just to give a brief description, I will try and keep it brief, of Old Tex. That is Teddy's locomotive that he uses to go from place to place, that he also doubles as his haven/laboratory. And Old Tex is a 442 Atlantic locomotive, or at least built out of one, which means that it has like two sets of 4 big wheels and then 2 smaller ones. They currently have 2 carriages. The first one is an observatory carriage that can double as just a passenger car or a sleep car. It's a kind of like a jack of all trades. And it does have like an observation deck at the end, and it's roughly maybe 60 feet long, I believe 12 feet wide and 13 feet high inside. interior, it has large windows that kind of open up to the surrounding landscapes, with a couple of kind of like half circle booth like chairs and tables. In the back of the cart, there are several bookshelves kind of lining the walls, with a coffee and tea tray that can be pushed down the cart itself. And behind that carriage is Teddy's workshop / laboratory, that I will describe if anyone else walks in there. But I will say that currently Teddy is probably sitting inside the lounge cart, with maybe like a little cup of tea, looking over at Chuck, and saying, "Listen, Chuck, I don't know how many times I have to tell you this. I am not putting a Big Zitti's advertisement on the side of old Tex. I'm just not. Can't convince me."
Look, I understand you got your fancy tray and you want to keep it clean, but I'm just saying I think it's good. Maybe not even just like, maybe if you want to just like install like just just add a simple advertisement's all I'm asking for, really. Maybe like, and if you want, maybe get your fancy little AI to like have like a thing or like, oh, here's where the closest big Zitti's is. Just I feel like it's useful. I just feel it. Chuck is sitting there with like a small glass of like whiskey or whatever, lounging in a chair, just sort of like, kind of, he's just sort of been sitting there, and he's kind of just been in the mood of like, I'm so glad I'm out of freaking Halloween Township.
More whiskey?
Yes, please. I really need it.
And I'll tip some more into his glass.
He sips.
And the rest of you?
Apophis is just sitting by himself in the like the passenger cart, trying to look over the book of the evening. He knew that it was mentioned that some of the kids mentioned that it was of Egyptian origin of some sort, and he doesn't maybe understand his cohorts the best, so he's just getting some alone time. He's in his human form now, which you can see the little wonderful art of right there. So he's not a big snake monster this time, but
Noise.
And
How did he
I
come
think-
about that form? Sorry, because I don't think we really talked about that last time.
Yes. Teddy had made him. Do you want to describe Teddy's experience with science and
Sure.
his kind of specialty?
That's fair, yes. So the playbook that I am playing is called The Science Guy, which is actively seen on the podcast The Crit Show. It's kind of like an amalgamation of The Mad Scientist by Red Sanfilippo and The Action Scientist by Michael Sands, and they're kind of like meshed together into a combination. And so Teddy, being a rather intelligent kind of like engineer and scientist, is considered kind of like a fringe scientist because of his interests. And so the science that he practices, the engineering that he does, is somewhat warped in a way, but there's no doubt that he is intelligent in his own way. And so understanding that Apophis would probably need some sort of cover to walk out in the open in public without too much attention, he created a fanny pack that houses a kind of like a projected cloak over Apophis's visage to turn them into essentially a human form. And because I'm a scientist, rather than have the use magic move, I have the weird science move. And so when I want to make a gadget or trying to affect the world with my science, I have to roll weird magic instead of weird science instead of use magic. And when I rolled it for this specific fanny pack, the one prerequisite that I had to take was that it doesn't work exactly as intended, which is why Apophyse's red snake eyes still pierce through the human form. But for the most part, hopefully it'll be useful.
Yes, and that also goes along with something that the Sun playbook has, where people I can't trust, or people I can't manipulate someone unless they have. I've found a way to prove my trust to them. So basically, the way that works as well is people see giant glowing red snake eyes inside this like regular looking guy's face. That's not how words work, but you know, they see those big old eyes and they don't trust Apophis, so that also works with my move called Freakish.
I will also say that this train card could fit Apophis's huge snake form if they wanted to switch out while they're in the car. Just saying. But
I feel like they're just kind of chilling in the human form. They're trying to get used to it.
that's fair.
Okay. And what's Anne up to?
I think Anne is sitting next to the two cantankerous gentlemen, also sipping on whiskey. And towards the end of this conversation, she kind of just pulls up, she just Googles Big Zittis and like holds it up to Chuck's face and just says, "Listen, buddy, you could just Google it. This will tell you where the nearest Big Zittis is. You don't have to force Teddy to make something like this for you."
I don't do the little, I don't do your little devices. I don't.
It's his arthritis.
Actually, just really
okay.
Really
Don't
quick,
you-
Masha. Just for kicks and giggles, can you roll investigate a mystery for me?
I certainly can.
Inside
you.
the train?
Don't
That
go
would
talk to me
be-
about arthritis.
That would be a cool 6.
A cool 6.
Much cooler than a 5.
Absolutely, yeah, it is much cooler than a 5.
Exactly one cooler than a 5.
Cool. As you as you turn to show, since I guess mark experience, because congratulations there. And as you turn to show Chuck, your phone shuts off. Like it just turns off and it will not turn back on.
Like it crashes? Just
Yeah,
like that's the power of
like-
Big Zittis? Like
The
just have to,
screen
like,
goes
where it
the
is?
screen goes black, and there's nothing. It will not respond to anything. Its battery was fine. You're pretty
See,
sure.
this is what I'm saying. You can't trust these stupid little devices you kids are all into. Like legitimately, like just like it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Like make his magic train do it. Don't let your little tiny little phones doing all the work. It's just crazy.
Old Tex is a sophisticated AI. Please
It's
understand.
magic. Don't even pull me with all this like technology. Literally, I have seen this train can do literally magic.
You are
I don't
on-
even.
You are only 4 years older than me. How is this
You
possible?
don't pull the. I am older than you, and so you need to listen to me because I am the oldest one here. I know what's going on.
So
my-
while all this
My
bickering is
name is
happening,
Chuck Duval. I know
I
what's
think-
going on.
I think Anne kind of looks sheepishly over at Teddy and kind of like hands him her phone. It's just like, "Teddy, do you think you could fix this?" And then she looks up at nothing and says, "I have leveled up." That was a level up for me.
Of all the
Um,
things to level
Thank
you
you,
up.
my lord, for leveling me up.
Okay.
Uh,
Yes.
Speaking of level
Um,
ups, I think Apophis leveled up at the end of the special. Yes.
I did level up, and I was gonna say that in the intro, and then I totally forgot to.
No worries.
But I have a new move from the. I'm forgetting what playbook it's from. The Hex playbook, and it is called Tune In. I can attune my mind to a monster or minion, and ask one of 5 different questions, or one or more of 5 different questions, unless I roll a miss, in which case the monster becomes aware of me. So
That's gonna be dope.
Oh yeah,
Very cool.
I'm looking forward to those rolls.
It's all the 5G data. I don't even.
Question for the keeper, if I may. Teddy will pull out his own phone. Is it also blacked out?
It's acting up. It's definitely not doing what it's supposed to.
Gotcha.
Okay, so
it may not be shut off completely, but there's definitely something going on.
Yes.
okay, interesting.
I'll take Anne's phone and kind of give it a once over, and maybe I can roll investigate a mystery to see what's wrong with it.
Sure.
Sorry.
I like that we're having a moment on the train. That's fun.
Oh goodness.
Do you not have your dice with you?
I don't have my dice on me. I just use a Google roller. It's cool.
That's the one thing we do.
I know. I'm aware. I'm a
It's
fraud.
you're too used to being a keeper. Like it. You
Wow.
don't roll.
Yeah, that'll be a 9 for investigate mystery.
A 9, which is mixed success, right? That's the last one for mixed
Yes.
success. So you can hold 1.
Um,
What happened here? What sort of creature is it? What can it do? What can hurt it? Where did it go? What was it going to do? And what is being concealed?
oh, that's a good one. I'm going. What happened here? Like, what happened to the phone to cause it to malfunction? Essentially,
The phone. So you pick it up and you take a look at it, and like, it's not. The strange thing about it is that it's not like an overload. There was nothing wrong with the battery, but maybe you kind of pop off the back of it, and you remove the battery, and it zaps you. But it's not like yeah, for you, like, you're used to getting zapped by electricity. That's
true.
just something that happens, just
See,
probably on a regular basis with Teddy.
I
This-
freaking knew this technology's gonna rise up one day, and you're all gonna be like, "Oh, Chuck, we should have listened to you."
This feels weird though. This feels a lot weirder. If you've ever been, like, it's a lot colder. Like, it's almost a cold shock. I'm trying to think of a good example, because it's not even like freezing cold. It's just cold. Like, the absence of warmth enters into your finger for a moment. And you think that this is definitely not something that's happened naturally. That's not an accident. Something like, it may not have been purposefully caused, but this is not something that's just happens to phones sometimes.
sure. Do we know by chance like how much longer we have until we get into Illbrook?
I mean, I would say you're getting pretty close. Maybe
Okay.
5 to 10 minutes, if that. Like, you've reached a good. Like, you could probably see the town from where you are, because there's like a small community college in it, so you can probably at least see like part of that community college.
I'll hand the phone back to Anne and say, keep an eye on that. I'm gonna signal ahead to the station to let them know we're coming. I'll take a look at it after, or maybe we can take it to, I don't know, a cell phone shop in town, hopefully, and see if there's anything else they can do for you. Until that time, I think I have some burner phones in the back if you need to take any. And Teddy will make his way towards the engine to kind of get that process rolling.
And I think just for our keeper, and of course the spooky music plays at that exact moment. It gets me every single time. I am going to be taking, as my level up, another move from my divine playbook called Boss from Beyond. At the beginning of each mystery roll plus weird, on a 10+, your superiors ask you to do something simple. On a 7 to 9, they ask you to do something complicated or difficult. In either case, you get to ask them one of the questions from the Investigate a Mystery move right now. On a miss, you are required to do something terrible, and if you do not accomplish what they've ordered, you cannot use this move again until you have made up for your failure.
Okay. Go ahead and roll. Why don't you? I mean, we're technically just starting the mystery. I think it's fine to go ahead and get that out of the way.
Yeah, I think that what happens is I lose my phone, and for the rest of this ride, I'm kind of just like sitting in silence. Like, Anne doesn't like it when Chuck is right, like all of these things. And she feels a little bit more connected to the powers that she has.
Well, how about this? Your phone rings.
Oh, okay. I'll take it.
Weird how that just wasn't working and now is working.
It also wasn't turned on.
Ah, great.
That is an 8.
Okay, so that is. Can you tell me again, because I don't have your playbook pulled up?
Yes. So my superiors are going to ask me to do something complicated or difficult. And in any case, I get to ask them one of the questions from the Investigate a Mystery move right now.
Okay, so your phone rings. It's a ringtone that you've actually never heard before. And on the screen, it just says, "You know who."
I think I pause for a moment because in Anne's life, there are a lot of you-know-who's. And she doesn't know which one this is. But she looks around at her party members and answers it. This is Anne
Chuck is
Darley. How may
pouring
I
himself
help
more
you?
whiskey.
It's a fax sound.
Ugh.
Yeah. Then it disconnects, and then you get a text message. I'm gonna have to come up with a thing for them to request. Again, the phone's not on, by the way. Like, you cannot use the phone for literally anything else right now. But you do still get a text message that you can see, and you were able to respond to it with your question. I'm just trying to think of what they can require of you that would be difficult, but not like terrible.
Chuck is drinking more whiskey. That is all he's doing.
You have to
This
get along with Chuck.
No,
You
I
have
would
to-
never.
You have to put the Big Zitti sign on the train. Ooh.
I'll tell you what. Go ahead and ask your question. I'll get your request in a second once I think.
Yes. And I think my question to you, I guess Alex already told us kind of the gist of what was happening, right? So I think I would ask my kind of divine superiors, what sort of creature is it? The cop-out question. I apologize in advance. New phone, who dis?
Yeah. The response is fear itself. That is your response.
What a freaking like religious thing to say, or like a philosophical like.
I thought that might be good, but yeah, the answer is fear itself.
You just hear Anne exhale, sigh. She's just like, ugh. Well, I feel like it's not an X, but it seems like we're gonna be handling fear itself.
I can't believe your patron is FDR. This is so crazy.
The ghosts of U.S. presidents past.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's a little dicey in some places, but
Ooh, let's not.
let's not.
Quick segue.
Whiskey, hey.
Y'all hear the brakes beginning to kind of begin to apply to the wheels as the train begins to lurch to a stop.
You think you would have
within
made
the
that
train yard.
smoother?
And I think that what happens probably is Anne gets a response and then she starts typing like, "Who are you?" and then her phone just clicks off.
No, her phone instead replies, "Get the dagger," and then it shuts off.
Great.
That could
Ominous.
That's so
So
great.
ominous. Let's put this in big words on my
Is it
paper
the
here.
dagger or just a dagger? That's like a thing you gotta ask. People will get you on the details.
Well, look, Chuck, the message has already gone off of my phone. If we find any dagger, maybe that's the dagger we're looking for.
So you're just gonna start a dagger collection until your mysterious texter gives you the okay?
Yes.
And these are like divine people, right? I mean, I don't get it.
You know, I don't really get it either. They haven't told me much about who they are, so I was hoping
So just
to find
trust
out.
them implicitly.
That's why I decided not to
Listen-
give them a voice instead.
Okay, very cool. Let's.
Chuck, last year I couldn't teleport, and now I can. So you know what? I think I'll trust my superiors.
Well, it happens. Honestly, in
happen
my
to
line
you?
of work, it literally just happens.
Teddy's gonna
I
come
was-
back into the
We
cart
were
now.
a
a
couple days
prophet is
ago.
gonna
We were in
following.
a hardware store. We walked out the door and we were in a creepy forest. It just happens.
Was this before or after you threatened to shoot those kids with the hunting rifle?
What? No,
After.
okay. After, and it was with a knife. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was both, Chuck.
Well, no, I said specifically I was not going to pull my gun because there was a giant snake man and they didn't seem scared of the giant snake man, and so I was like, well, what's the point of the gun? Might as well save some ammo.
Logically, they live in a town that's year-round Halloween costumes, and Apophis
Don't you
could
do
be a
this to
cosplayer.
me. Don't
Anyway,
do this to
I feel
me.
like we just got to think of the other side
Kids
of
these
things
days.
sometimes
Kids these
too.
days.
Um,
It's so disrespectful.
Teddy's gonna take his overcoat, and there's several pockets lining the inside of it where he keeps kind of like little trinkets and digital doodads and things of that nature to help with investigating and his like tinkering of things. Would it be possible for Teddy to quickly slap together 2 gadgets before they leave the train? Kind of like while the train's kind of being shunted in the train yard before they leave.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
What do you have in mind?
So 2 of them, one of them is surveillance oriented, and the other one's distraction oriented. And so Teddy will head back into the workshop. That's very much. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but it's definitely an amalgamation of like the Technological University of Big Hero 6 and a garage laboratory, just kind of like fused together. And so he's going to take out a Tupperware box from the main center work table. Inside there's like a bunch of like old phones, like flip phones or like slide phones from the mid 2000s that all have cameras on them. And he's gonna dig inside and pull out a Nintendo DSi. And he's going to begin to kind of pull it out very quickly and take the camera out, along with the microchip and things of that nature, and kind of like finagle it into a white casing that you would see like for a light switch, like very like smooth plastic, very nondescript looking. And he's going to drill like a small hole into the plastic, set the camera, and kind of like fiddle with it, put some battery so that it runs, and make sure that it has like a small like Bluetooth chip so that he can connect to it with his phone. And kind of like put like an adhesive back to it, and that one his hope is that he can like put it nondescriptly somewhere and have it be a camera that like looks into a location from time to time. And then the next one is the distraction device. He again pulls out another huge Tupperware box and kind of like sets it on the table, and this one is filled with like children's toys that all have voice boxes inside. And so he takes out a Tickle Me Elmo and sets it down at the table.
Just have children's toys?
He sets it down at the table and like uses an X-Acto knife to begin to cut
They're
out
for
a flap.
science.
And he pulls out the voice box, and he like plugs in a couple wires from a thin laptop computer, and begins kind of typing things in, and then starts tightening the voice box a little bit and plays it a little bit. And I'll if possible, I'll roll weird signs for both of these now, and then I'll describe what happens with the voice box after that's done.
Do
That's
it.
cool.
Let's go. Let's see it.
Cool. So this
Now,
is
really quick.
Yes.
The things that happen to him, does this use the same effects as use magic, like the same glitches, or is there a different list that I'm not seeing?
It's so for the weird science, instead, like, I just say like what the weird science accomplishes,
Right.
and then when I roll, if I roll a 10 plus, then I pick one of the requirements from the weird science requirements sheet, and then if I roll a 7 to 9, I pick one, and you pick one. You as the keeper pick one, and
Right.
then on a 6 or less, something goes horribly wrong, which usually ends up with an explosion. But the idea being the weird science requirements are as follows. It needs a rare and or weird material. It won't be very reliable. It requires huge amounts of power or fuel. It will take a long time to get it working. It won't work exactly as intended. Or you'll need help beyond the hunters on your team to finish it. It's either weird science or my engineering move. Which is when you need to quickly fix or break a complicated gadget, roll plus sharp. On a 10 plus, it's fixed or broken, just like you wanted. On a 7 to 9, you need more time to study it. Choose to fix or break it now with unknown side effects, or take more time. On a miss, you do the worst thing possible to the gadget, which usually involves an explosion. So I was trying to go for the weird science one just because I'm not trying to fix or break anything currently.
Sure. Yeah. Right. You're making things. That's fine. Yeah.
Dope.
Okay.
Cool. So then I will read for I'll roll for the surveillance surveillance camera first.
The light switch eye. Let's see.
Okay, that is going to be an 8, so a mixed success. So you choose a requirement and then I choose a requirement. So it needs a rare and or weird material. It won't be very reliable. It requires huge amounts of power or fuel. It will take a long time to get it working. It won't work exactly as intended, and you'll need help beyond the hunters on your team to finish it.
Okay. I will choose it will not work exactly as you did.
Beautiful. I'll say it won't be very reliable.
That was my other choice. So
And then the second one is the voice box. The idea intended that, like, I'll throw it into a room or leave it somewhere, and it will speak out and like distract with the phrase being used. And so this one, that's a 10.
Okay.
Yeah, 8 plus 2, 10. So then I will choose. It won't work exactly as intended. And so the phrase that I wanted, I was going to tweak the voice box to a lower timbre and have it say, "You're surrounded. Get on the ground." But the way that it works is, as he's kind of tweaking the voice box, you all hear kind of like the Tickle Me Elmo voice come through, and it's like, "Hi, I'm Tickle Me Elmo. I'm Tickle Me Elmo. Tickle me. Tickle me on the floor. Tickle me on the floor." And it just kind of gets stuck on that
Chuck is leaning into Anne.
on that
hearing
loop.
this is like, I knew he was a weirdo. I freaking.
And it gets stuck
he's
in that
such
loop.
Weird things. Surprisingly, this is not the first time I've ever seen something like this.
And he
A
pulls out.
grandkid, I think.
You would
I
think.
But anyway, so he takes out the voice box and the surveillance camera and kind of like tucks it into his jacket for later use, and he'll walk out of the workshop and see everyone kind of looking at the door, and he's gonna be like, "It's for science," and then closes it and continue and walks out.
That's what they all say. I swear.
Those are just the two gadgets I wanted to have on me, just so that I can use them later.
okay, I have them noted. All right. Anybody else want to do anything?
I'm all good.
Okay. All right. So, how do you normally exit out of the train, Teddy? Like, is it like side court big doors, or do they step around, or how?
There's multiple ways, but there is a set of stairs that lead from the observation car, like in between the observation car and the engine, that you can just kind of like climb, like step down from. In the back where the observation deck is, like that's open air, there's like a side ladder that you can, it's like the emergency exit where you can kind of like latch onto it and like climb down. But we would probably take the normal way through. So there at the end, you slide the door open and kind of step out onto the small little platform and then step down the steps. I love my train, guys. Thank you for indulging me.
Your train full of children's toys.
It's one Tupperware box.
Tupperware. There was some discussion in the chat about whether or not that's a legitimate way to hold toys.
My mother would argue with everyone in the chat. It's like the huge like storage boxes, whatever.
It's a storage bin. That's not called
no.
Tupperware.
Okay.
Well,
Tupperwares are for food.
Is this
What are
a
you
It's-
doing
it's
with these
big
toys,
Tupperware.
Teddy? Do you eat them?
Big
it's
Tupperware.
human-sized Tupperware.
You know, when you got the full cow, you gotta
It's like
keep
the
cold.
same material. It's the plastic that clicks onto the plastic. It's
Thank
This
you
is
for
our hot take of the
reinforcing
day.
this conversation I had earlier. Like this exact conversation.
This is this. Oh my god.
But yes, it's a storage bin. If everyone wants to go with that one, it's a plastic storage.
Yes, it's a storage bin, which still I feel like is an alarming amount of toys for a man in his 60s
If
to
you-
have in his terrain.
If you want to bring it up to Teddy, I am more than happy
Oh,
to
I've brought it up
RP
to Teddy.
Then I will say Teddy will have told you that he does it specifically because the United States government keeps track of like electronics and like high-powered batteries and things of that nature that go into circulation. And so he found out a long time ago that no one keeps track of the technology that's put inside of toys. And so he will make you the most use out of that as much as possible. The voice boxes, the batteries, the cameras, the wiring, all that jazz. To keep under the radar, off the grid.
So the U.S. government
Okay.
just thinks that this like old man who owns a train is some kind of like traveling
Train.
Santa Claus, and in reality, he's just making like
You,
frightening devices.
you hear
It-
that? You hear about that
legitimately-
Teddy guy? He has
So-
a train full of kids' toys.
with the
I'm not touching
laboratory, I chose the fabrication workshop room, right? And it says, since most of your equipment is a bit unorthodox and probably illegal, you make most of your own gear. So yes, I would rather than think that I'm a traveling Santa Claus than
So we're in the town.
Right? Yeah, we're here to do a thing.
All right, so
It's been an hour.
it has.
that's okay. That pads my runtime. Anyways, so the train comes to rest. They do have like a small train yard. The engine is probably covered up by a canopy sort of deal. Like it's in like almost a warehouse. And as you step down, you can actually step down onto, I guess, a loading dock sort of thing, is what you would assume, or like just obviously this isn't a place where people normally stop. Like this isn't just a regular train station or anything like that. This is maybe for freight trains or the like most often.
Also, if I may, Teddy's sonic rifle is inside of a duffel bag slung over his shoulder.
Okay, this is fine. So hang on, let me get my note here. Okay. So standing on this little station is a tall, grumpy-looking man. He's got salt and pepper hair. His face looks very annoyed. He is wearing a suit and tie with a trench coat over it. He's smoking a cigarette. He's got the cigarette in his lips, and he's got his arms crossed, and he's just looking at all of you as you unload from the train. And once the last person is off, or so he thinks anyway, he'll take the cigarette out, throw it on the ground, and just kind of stomp it out, and he'll approach you. He goes, "You friends of that doctor boy?"
Yes, we are. Pleasure to
Strong
meet you.
word, friends.
Yes, we're friends with him.
Don't mind him. His gout's acting up.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
just seeing more of you weirdo types is already working up my headache.
Why is everyone insulting me today? I feel offended.
Anyway, Detective Kennedy, I'm supposed to take y'all to the morgue. Apparently, more people got to see the dead bodies or whatever. So,
Or lack thereof, from what we've heard.
well, listen, I'd rather you not talk about that in public. Apparently, the doctor don't know how
Talk
to keep his
about
mouth.
what? The people without hearts? What are we?
There's one body left. All right, so let's go and let's just go. And he turns in a huff and just crams his hands in his pockets and just starts stomping away from the warehouse area.
Chuck like nudges Teddy. I was like, he has more manners than you.
You know, he kind of reminds me of you, too.
I swear to God, we're not doing this right
These
now.
two old men can walk forward following this very mean...
This other old man.
Yes.
Turntables RPG. We have old men.
No Country for Old Men, never heard of it.
He's probably not quite as old as the two of you, but he's definitely older than most of the group.
Okay.
Youngins.
Old people energy.
He's definitely not as old as Chuck.
I swear, we're gonna have kids these days.
How old is Teddy again?
61.
Okay, yeah, he's probably 50-51, this guy.
Okay.
He's up there, but he's not up there.
Gotcha.
Sorry, let me go back and say one last thing that he does. He does show you a badge to show you that he is in fact a detective.
Oh
with
yeah,
the-
I guess that
yeah.
matters.
Yeah, like
It's true,
he
we
does
just
show
walked
that.
away with this man.
He did. But he does show you his badge, and he walks off away. He leads you through a rather small town. It's quite quaint. It's just this little Tennessee town. He takes you to the town square. The town square is a large cobblestone square. There's a fountain in the middle of it that looks relatively new, along with different decorations, a couple of trees. It looks like it's been recently put in to kind of beautify the place. Around it, it's framed by like a strip mall. The strip mall has there's a small clinic, a bakery. There's 2 different lawyers' offices, a barber shop, a coffee shop, and the morgue. Lovely place for the morgue. And Detective Kennedy just stomps right toward it. He doesn't stop to show you the town. He just goes straight towards the morgue. He doesn't look like he has any interest in.
Is there a Big Zitti's nearby?
Are you asking him that?
Yes.
He just kind of turns and looks at you and he goes,
I've literally only drinking whiskey for the past like several days.
he looks
The
over his
last time
shoulder.
The last time a solid entered my body, I do not know.
He looks over his shoulder at you and he goes, "Guess the doctor didn't tell you everything, huh?" And then he just keeps going, keeps walking.
I don't like how he said that.
You really need to get yourself checked out, Chuck. Kidney stones are a real danger to us. Maybe Alex can do it next time we see him.
Chuck just like stares at you and in like disgust, and then walks away.
Just picturing Alex. All right, I need you to pee in this cup so I can look at it. All right. Anyways, are you all going to do anything? Or are you just going to follow the detective?
I guess.
Yeah, no, I think Teddy's very interested to see what's been up at the morgue, at least, or like what that's looked like in and of itself. These bodies disappearing.
Okay. The detective does not hold the door open for you. He just kind of barges in himself.
Teddy will hold the door open.
And he continues past the reception desk. There's nobody there. And into the back, there is stairs that go down. He goes down the stairs, and basically he's just going, expecting you to follow him. So he's going down toward the basement of the morgue. I'm assuming that everybody's following unless you say otherwise. As you enter in to the morgue proper, there is a familiar-looking face standing over what looks like a corpse. A slightly shorter than average man with white hair, doctor's coat, and slacks, a button-up shirt, and a tie. He's looking at a clipboard and then down to the body again. He looks over towards you guys. How was the trip?
Not
Alex
bad.
asks.
Chuck might need a checkup for kidney stones, though.
Don't say that. I literally I just need to know where like a Big Zitti's is.
Well, that is
See, that's
good-
the second time someone has reacted like in a. Honestly, it's crazy that the second town we've gone to has a Big Zitti's problem. In the case that like the first one, the problem was it didn't have one.
well, there is one in this town. I can tell you that.
Okay, good. That's a positive. Now,
Yeah.
point me in the direction. I will be on my way.
Well, before you do that, and as he opens his mouth to speak again, another voice calls out that from like the corner. If any of you looked, like you probably would have seen this person, but regardless, she steps out from like the shadowed area. There's a tall woman. She is in a complete pantsuit. She's got long brown hair. I mean, she's probably 6'1", 6'2". She's very tall. She almost exudes this intimidating aura about her as she looks at each of you like she knows your entire life story. And so she looks at each of you, and she even looks up when she looks at Apophis to where his eyes would be if he were in his snake form. And then she looks back to Teddy. Hey, Teddy, this is not her talking. This is me talking. How many times has he worked for supernatural government agencies?
Oh goodness. Well, he kind of began the freelancing lifestyle like when he was in his late 20s. So he has a little less than 40 years in the game in and of itself, at least like freelancing his smarts and his technology out to people. So I would say the number of times that he's at least worked with government agencies officially, maybe like 5 times max. Unofficially, it's innumerable almost.
Okay. Then she is going to talk to you first.
Okay.
And but she's looking at you as she's talking, at least. But it seems more like she's talking to Alex.
Gotcha.
And she goes, "Ragtag group that you've got yourself caught up in this time, huh, Dr. Rose?" He goes, "These are my friends. Everyone, I'd like to introduce you to Corporal Sophia Barrett of the Extraplanar Control League into the investigation of paranormal and supernatural events, or Eclipse. And if you have worked with them before, or if you've worked with government agencies before, you are at least aware of Eclipse as being the ones that, obviously not the only ones that work for this, but one of their main things is secretly investigating any kind of supernatural events going on in the world at large. Like, it's not just a U.S. government sort of thing. This is she is a contact that I have, and she makes sure that my clinic does not come under scrutiny, and I in turn assist her when she needs assistance with certain things, typically in medical mysteries. Turns out having your heart disappear is a pretty big medical mystery, if you weren't aware. And she just sort of nods, and she goes, and he's told me a bit about you, so I've done a little bit of my own research. I know you especially, Teddy, and Chuck. The other two of you
No
are a
one
little
finds things about me. I make a huge effort to stay off the internet.
Yes, the internet, right?
No one knows my face or real name. Don't you claim to?
Okay, silencer, whatever you say.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Teddy will
They're onto me.
Teddy will step forward.
Chuck looks at
he'll
the
pat.
nearby exit routes.
He'll put a hand on Chuck's shoulder and just kind of like pat it past, like, we're good. It's all good. And then Teddy's gonna like stick his hand out and say, "Well, Corporal, I'm glad we can work together on this project. Let me formally introduce myself, Theodore Ulysses Franklin."
She looks at your hand for a moment, like she does not reach out right away. She just looks at it, and then she gives you a once over, a twice over. You can feel that she's really assessing you. And then finally, she will reach out and shake your hand with a very firm grasp.
Firm back, and then just kind of tip the cowboy hat as I lean back.
I certainly hope you can. So I trust that Dr. Rose has filled you in on at least some things?
No.
Nothing at all. She looks
No.
at Alex.
I mean,
Drugs.
the hearts go missing. That's all we got, really. There is something wrong with the Big Zittis, but no one will tell me.
Well, we know that the people go missing too, and is this the last one that's here, for lack of a better word?
Yes, this is the most recent one. Typically, they go missing 3 to 4 days after their death. This one has been dead for 2 days. He's a professor from the local school.
And I would be remiss if I didn't introduce myself. I'm Anne Darelay, Miss Barrett.
The dating
It's
coach.
Nice to meet you.
She knows too much.
That is her job, unfortunately. Also, she knows me, so she knows what I know about you. I
Unsettling,
trust her.
but
I promise.
nice to meet
Eyes
you
narrow.
with my own mind, nonetheless. So, is there anything that links this man to anyone else that's been taken, disappeared? What can you tell us?
He doesn't have a heart.
Yes, that I
Wow,
understand.
crazy. The world we live in, huh?
Yes. So apparently Groovy is having some issues right now. Please forgive Groovy and
I'll
the lack
hum
of
some music if you want.
Yeah. There's a
Ooh, every now and then it goes like da da da, and then music. goes
okay.
like-
Okay.
We'll just
Anyways,
have Chris in the background, yeah.
Turn
Okay.
around. Every now and then,
I
Groovy
get 'em.
Bot goes boo doo doo.
We don't have the rights. We don't have the rights.
Oh no!
Oh,
Anyway,
Down, shut it
We're
down.
getting taken down.
Speaking of bright
Tone
eyes,
deaf
Teddy will kind of like gesture to Apophis, and say, "And this is our friend and associate, Poppy."
Please do not call me that.
Don't call him that.
And Apophis kind of puts out his hand and then kind of takes it back because he's not quite sure how humans, like, he's not quite sure. He knows there's like a wave and he knows there's a handshake, but he sometimes gets those confused, so he like puts his hand out and shakes it just with the air and then puts it back.
So, are you just masking the look, or does this actually morph them into this form?
Well, I haven't tweaked it out too hard, but for the most part, it's only a visual effect.
I see. She does not reach to shake your hand.
Out of curiosity, Corporal, have there been any, I guess, cell phone outages amongst yourself or your agents or possibly citizens of the town that you've taken notice of?
Myself and my agents, no. But the town has been having some issues with some manner of technical disruption. At least as far as communications are concerned.
I see. And have you checked up with the local cell tower or cell station?
What do you think?
I want to say yes, but you didn't say anything about it, so I thought I'd let you fill that in.
Yes. Yes, we've taken a look at any normal way that something like this could happen, but I know you, and you've probably already looked into at least one of these phones and know that it isn't a normal assumption.
Fair enough. That's true. I wonder, if possible, Teddy would scan the morgue in and of itself to see if there are like any security cameras in here at all.
Yes, a very good question. there's not really, since in rolling investigative history, you can absolutely see cameras and you even see the red light glowing.
Do you have access to the footage? Were the bodies taken by somebody else? Did they force their way out? Can we take a look at the footage?
I mean, the good detective is the one with the footage, so you'll need to speak with him. He's not been as forthcoming as we would like.
That's hard to believe with such a rosy personality.
Yeah, he was kind of, excuse my French, an ass.
He's also a skeptic, and so you know how that can be in our line of work.
Chuck, I'm not sure that was French.
Trust me, my parents were French, I know.
I do not believe that in at all.
No,
It's not.
no, you know. Well, no one ever wants to get to know me.
Then you should tell this to me, your doctor, when I ask for your medical history.
You're not my doctor. I'm not telling you anything. How do I know you don't work for the stupid tech companies that are stealing all my information and making me known?
This is like half of the episode is just just Chuck being an old man.
Chuck being anti-technology.
I mean, okay, so at this point, in the first one, Chuck was anti-magic, and it ended up being Chuck casting a spell to save everything. So
He's
now,
gonna have to make a Facebook account this episode. Oh no, guys!
Oh man.
Good.
Chuck's
Good.
Press
Facebook
the
account
red
is just
button,
like
Chuck.
Chuck's Facebook account is just Chuck Duval bio. No.
Schools attended, none that you know about.
School of Hard Knocks. Don't worry about it.
Currently working at
Birthday.
Why Do You Want to Know?
Wouldn't you like to know?
I
Yeah.
pay my taxes. Maybe.
His only liked pages are Big Zitti.
Big Zitti.
Official.
Follows only one
And
account. Big Zitti.
he is that kind of like old person that comments on every single one of their posts and like
Yeah.
pictures.
They're
and
like,
things of that nature. Is like really
announcing
excited
the
for this
new-
new location.
Announcing the new barbecue burger, and Chuck is like, "I'm very excited about this."
Like under their new post, he's just like, bring back the chili cheese fries. I miss
I
them.
don't get why you guys actually stopped selling ziti.
Why
it
did you leave
confuses
me, Sharon? Why did you leave me?
Well,
Anyway,
Glad we went on this tangent.
I think that Anne would kind of turn back to Corporal Barrett, and just ask again, what information she's willing to divulge to us, because we are here and we are here to help.
Well, you know the majority of things, from the sounds of it. At least the majority of what we know. It's the reason that we brought you in is because we only know so much. And unfortunately, with the way the police department is being, it's a little harder to conduct our investigation, given that we aren't exactly a known organization within our government, as you are, I'm sure, aware. It's enough to... We're known well enough that we're able to get into places like this, but that does not secure the cooperation of the local police force. And so a lot of their documents we don't have. We are not allowed to really examine the scene while they are currently looking at it. And so what we know, again, is that the hearts of the victims are completely missing. That the bodies, 3 to 4 days later, completely disappear, as I'm sure you are aware. And when I say that, I do mean that in the most literal sense. They do not get up and walk away. They do not break out. They do not come back to life. They vanish completely. No one sees them walking around town. Nothing. The first few that went missing were... Well, maybe that's not relevant right now. But
No, please.
there doesn't
tell
seem to
us.
be a connection. I just don't want to muddy your investigation.
I feel like most information in any relation to this could be relevant. I don't.
Oh, is it?
That's
Should
just
I
me.
share you with you all of the victims' shoe sizes as
Maybe
well?
I don't know. Maybe did they all have similar shoe sizes? Maybe it's a thing against feet. I don't know. In my legitimately though, like in my experience, like you have like back in the day, you had this one killer. He would specifically do it just because he was like jealous of people's shoe size. It was really freaky. I had to take that guy down because someone knew about his identity, and they were like, "Hey, we want this guy killed because he's really like people are very scared to share their shoe size now, and it's hurting business." And I was like, "Okay, might as well." Anyway. I'm very hungry.
Well, there's a bakery just outside.
I guess. I'd rather know where the Big Z is.
The Big Zitti's is closed.
How could you do this to me?
It's the crime scene.
Wait, don't say that to me. Please
Yes.
do not.
It isn't. It is the crime scene. It is where
Two
this man
jobs in a row.
was killed.
I am so close, and yet so far.
Whoa.
I mean, I guess we get to go there either way.
Poetic justice.
good luck
I
with
think
that.
is what that is.
Are we not going to the crime scene? I don't know. It might help with the. I don't do the investigating. Usually, if I'm doing investigating, it's to find the. Usually I don't.
do.
Usually I don't deal with a scene after the body's dead. Usually it's I get the body there and that's it.
Yes.
Teddy will turn to the detective and say, "Are we allowed to visit said crime scene?"
We are currently. I'm going Teddy's a little too much now. I'm trying to adopt your accent. Well, we're currently investigating that ourselves, and we don't like civilians all up and hurting all of the evidence. So I'd prefer if you didn't.
That's understandable. Can we maybe stand on
So
the
why are
outside
we
of the yellow
here?
tape and look inside, or have you give us a play-by-play of what it looks like on the inside? We're just trying to get all the variables here. It's important.
Listen, I'm humoring y'all right now with this much, if nothing else, just because it gives our mortician the day off by letting your little freaky doctor over there do his little cutting or whatever he's doing. But let me tell you right now, I don't trust you. All right? I don't know who you are from Adam, so I don't see any reason why I should do that. If you do want him to do that, you will need to give me a manipulate symbol. Yeah, good luck, everybody, because Alex is the manipulate someone person.
Ooh, yeah.
Teddy can try. He's definitely not as good as Alex. Trying to think. Teddy will
Yeah, I don't think I
give a
should use mine.
glance over to, because it sounds like this detective is a skeptic, and so Teddy will kind of like give an eye, like a meaningful look to Apophis, and just kind of like give a kind of like this, and then he's gonna turn to the detective and say, "We can try and convince you if you'd like, but honestly, we want to make sure that if we do, you're not going to run out of this room screaming like a little girl." Oh, I'm sorry. That's sexist. Like a... Yeah, if you're like
I
a
appreciate
coward.
that personally.
Yeah,
I'm glad you have some kind of moral moral compass. I appreciate that.
One of
even
us
the
has
corporal-
to, Chuck.
the
I
corporal
I
twitched for a
will.
second.
We'll have words later. Anyway, Chuck's gonna stand by the door just in case they do run out like a unspecified gender.
Do you want me to roll?
Yes.
Okay.
Give me that manipulate someone. Sounds beautiful.
It's my first experience at a street 6.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, there you go.
Well, that's some experience.
Yeah, get some experience.
Dope, 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 dope.
And unless someone wants to try and help out, I guess, because I guess you are one away from a miss success, right? Uh-oh. I
Oh
don't like
no.
that.
It's okay.
Yep, that's
Groovy
gonna-
bot, no.
Give me
Groovy bot,
1
no.
second. I'll get this.
Okay,
And he's
maybe
back.
he's back.
We're
Okay,
back.
cool.
Whoa, music! What's going on?
He's back.
There we go.
Do I
I
wait?
would be willing to.
It's
Every
specifically
time.
it's this song again, but yeah.
I would be willing to help out. But Saul / Teddy, you'll have to remind me what it is exactly you're trying to do here.
I guess I was kind of hoping that Apophis would click the cloak to appear in their form. There's also Alex, who could show their fangs or something along those lines, but it seems like we need to give him some proof of the supernatural in order
I
to
see.
shock him enough to the point of being like, we are legitimate. We're not just like thrill seekers trying to mess with your investigation. We are
I'm a
trying
little
to
bit of a thrill
prevent more
seeker.
loss
Yeah.
of life, so
You
with the
know,
exception of Jack.
I think that Anne can do something that is a lot less jarring than either of those things, which is that
Right.
she can do angel wing,
Yeah, you
right?
could
So
just
she
float
could
a bit.
teleport a little bit
Oh, yeah,
away, and that's not like absolutely terrifying like a 7-foot tall snake man deity thing,
That's
or
fair.
a literal half vampire. So I think that is how Anne would try to help out. She would just kind of like lock eyes with the investigator, and then like lock eyes with Chuck, and then like take a deep breath out, and then teleport right behind maybe the investigator or Chuck. We have to decide, Masha. She would just teleport. She would teleport behind the investigator, I think. Can I roll for it?
Yeah, roll cool plus cool. Because you're helping out. Yeah, you're helping out.
That's a 6.
Is
Oh
it?
my gosh!
I need to get rid of these dice.
I mean, I am the weirdly enough, I'm the most normal person here.
Can Apophis try and help out by kind of looking right at the investigator? And I don't think he wants to reveal the whole snake person, because Apophis is not someone who frequently wants to base their respect off of fear. So I think Apophis is just going to lock eyes, make sure the detective kind of sees him, and then just like give a little wink, just like, hey, look at my eyes, they're pretty freaky,
So-
huh?
Yeah, so I do want to say that this is a little funny, because now there's 3 people meeting his eyes, so he's just like,
that is a good point.
yeah, he grows a third eye and looks at one, like, what? Well, first, let me tell Mosh what happens to Anne, because something's gonna happen to Anne.
Good point.
Yeah. So
Well-
Ooh. Dark experience, to be sure. And you do disappear. You do not appear behind anybody that you.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, we're going again.
We're doing this again.
We're going again. Instead, you appear in a place that's very dark. It's lit only by what look to be a couple of torches. The smell of death is so strong, you heave. Like it is. The smell itself almost knocks you off of your feet. In the brief amount of time before you are dragged away to go to where you intended, the only thing that you can see is what look to be hieroglyphs on a wall. But you're dragged away before you can really look and see what they are.
So she was
And
taken
they-
to like a kind of like a intermediary point before arriving to the
Yes.
last location. Okay.
Yes, she was. And you are going to take a -1 forward because you are nauseous. Because the smell of sickness is not good. The smell of
Yucky.
death.
Thank
Excuse me.
you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, anyways, go ahead. Roll, I guess, plus cool to try and help Teddy out now.
Let's see if I can get better than a 6.
Carry the team.
I got an 8.
Yes.
Let's see. That does.
If Chuck had to do it, he'd just be like pulls out a gun like I don't even.
This is
a
pretty
weird,
ghost
huh?
gun.
All right. So on a 7 to 9, your
don't
help
even,
grants them
Ooh, spooky. I don't even.
+1 to their roll, but you also expose yourself to trouble or danger. All right. So actually, what ends up happening? So first of all, you're going to get a to bump that up to a 7 for your roll, Teddy.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Yay! Thank you.
And now Apophis. So you turn and you wink to try and draw attention to your eyes, and as you do, you hear Groovy leave again.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to pick something different, and I'm going to loop it for a very long time.
Okay. I don't know.
So guys,
Where
welcome to
went
the Chuck segment of the show. I shall now be describing you my whole experience with specifically the harrowing case of attacking the shoe-size serial killer. It started, I think, about 93. I think it was probably like January.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So
I could keep going, but I won't.
Okay. Sorry about
What a
that,
panic.
folks.
yeah, is it the repeat that's causing issues? Anyway,
It could be.
so Apophis. So you wink, and right about the time that you wink, you hear sparking. What sounds like electrical sparking coming from something on your. Is it on your belt?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't.
I don't know.
guess.
Well, anyways,
Fanny
then
pack.
it's a fanny pack. Okay, your fanny pack begins to spark, and it zaps you a few times with some rather cold feeling electricity, and suddenly you are a giant snake person in front of this civilian, and he immediately pulls his gun.
Teddy's gonna get like right in front of him.
He doesn't fire, but he does aim.
Pulls out his gun. It's like we can all play this game.
Apophis just kind of like covers his face, like you can't see me, not here.
Like shunts closed his.
Oh my
like,
gosh,
hood.
Yeah.
Apophis can teleport too.
Can Chuck try or Anne, go ahead.
I was gonna say Anne can soothe, which is probably the strongest way to de-escalate this situation. If Teddy wants to do something, that's also fine.
Teddy was just gonna try and fix the fanny pack to recalibrate
Ah,
it.
yeah. Well, I imagine at this point Anne has like reemerged behind the investigator, and she is going to kind of like gently put a hand on his shoulder and soothe him. So soothe is when you talk to someone for a few seconds in a quiet voice, you can calm them down, blocking any panic, anger, or other negative emotions they have. So I think Anne is going to do that, and I imagine he might jolt a little bit when she touches him. She just says, "Hey, it's okay. Apophis is a friend of mine. You can tell we're really weird, but we're here to help."
So
I am not weird. I am the most normal.
So
Everyone
what does
except
happen
Chuck.
is when you touch his shoulder, it jerks and he pulls the trigger, and the bullet fires into the morgue. It misses, but he did jump. But then the gun slowly lowers as your calm voice washes over him, and he seems to the panic seems to leave his eyes. But he's still staring at the gigantic snake man in front of him. He's no longer fearful. He's just hanging there.
Okay, good. You drugged him. We're in a good spot.
His gun is still in his hand, but it's no longer his finger is no longer on the trigger, and he just seems to be kind of in a relaxed state. Moving back to manipulate someone on a 7 to 9, they'll do it, but only if you do something for them right now to show that you mean it. So you were asking to see the crime scene because you were wanting to help, correct?
Yes.
How are you going to show him that you're here to help?
I would. I'm going to kind of like gesture to Anne and then gesture to Apophis, and I'm going to take out like a little set of tools, and I would like to try and fix the fanny pack just to show, so that the hologram like pops back on, just as like cement. We are weird, but we can probably get the job done. Like we have we have a certain set of skills.
All right, Liam Neeson. Go ahead
That's
and
the
roll your
team's
engineering.
tagline. We're weird, but we get the job done.
So I would like to try and use my engineering move to do that. So
Let's see if anything blows up.
okay, that is 9 plus sharp, which is a 10. So it's fixed. So very quickly, I just kind of tighten a couple screws and you know, that's it. I tighten up the screws and like turn it back on, and it just gonna like flattens out. I know my technology.
All right, he definitely looks between all of you now, and then he puts his gun away.
Chuck's good at killing things. We can't really show that off here.
I literally was useless last job. In regards to the fight thing, I like shot up. Well, the children would. I mean, the children. Let's not talk about the children. Specifically, like, I showed those pumpkin things. You know what for? You know, I shot those.
Did you just say what for?
Yeah.
All right. Look,
I don't.
No, I just
Chuck
loved
just
it. That's all.
Chuck stands quietly thinking about how he did not technically like kill or really harm anything last job.
let's say that I am willing to accept that there is a gigantic snake man hiding inside of that not so gigantic regular person. Right?
Let's say.
Yeah, keep going.
How exactly do you think you can investigate better than I can investigate?
Well, let me.
I mean,
if
like,
I
have
may,
you
Chuck, let me pose you this question,
Oh, okay,
detective.
please.
Let me pose you this question. You're good at your job, solving mysteries and finding the bad guys on the normal level. Then why haven't you been able to find out why the bodies are going missing, where the hearts are going? Because that shit's weird, ain't it? Therefore, maybe you just need the weird side of it to figure it out.
Yeah, see, where it takes one person like yourself to do a job in the normal world, it takes 5
4.
people. I guess 4, if you don't want to include one of us. For whatever reason, I don't know why you would say that.
He is in the room right now.
Yeah,
No
he is
offense,
in the room
Alex.
right now. Yeah, screw you, Alex. You're not in the. You're kicked out of the team. Anyway,
All right, look.
we're varying. We need basically we need 5 people or 4, I guess, usually, to get a job done. So don't take that take that with a grain of salt, I guess.
Forensics is currently doing some tests out at the crime scene right now. I can't let you go right now. I don't care
Well, what if you did?
I don't care what kind of snake man you attack me. I can let you go later, but right now, I guess I could at least let you see and he gestures toward the security camera up in the corner. He goes, I can at least let you.
That would be very helpful.
I guess.
But listen,
It's crazy how everyone wants to stop me to get to Big Zitti's.
if you act up at all, I'm going to arrest every single one of you, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you get locked away for a very long time, even if it's in one of them places with the padded cells. You understand me?
Can I ask for lenience?
Cops, am I right?
Can I ask for lenience for our, neighborhood old man here who just, it's the dementia. It's just kind of getting him now.
Closed
think
spaces scare me. I get very aggressive.
No.
Fair. So footage.
All right. Yeah.
Does this guy know that Chuck is like the silencer or whatever? Did he overhear that?
He's not reacting to it, but the way that he keeps looking to you, even though he's in the room with what he now knows is a gigantic snake person, you have an idea that he may have overheard.
Damn. Cover's
But it's-
blown. Gotta
but
go
it's-
dark.
But it's out of his jurisdiction anyway, so you don't.
Okay,
don't
good.
fear about that. Because you've probably not done anything in Illbrook,
Probably
least-
not.
at least in the
May-
statute of limitations.
Arguably
Yet.
on the federal level, but
Yeah.
we don't. We're not gonna think about that. No one think about that.
All right. So he nods and he goes, "I'll wait for you outside. I guess do whatever you're gonna do in here. If there's anything else, and I'll take you over to the police station and I'll let you see the videos. There's some. I would warn you that there's some weird stuff on there, but I guess you knew that already." He kind of looks defeated that he's admitting defeat right now, and he's not used to being a man who admits defeat.
The only thing Teddy's gonna stay behind to talk to Alex, but the only thing he's gonna say to the detective before he leaves is, "It's all about saving lives. That's the end game. That's the goal always."
It better be for you. That's all I'm going to tell you. And he
Chuck
leaves.
doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Good.
Good.
Character
Wow, we did it,
development.
guys. That's the end of the
What
season,
an
guys.
arc.
Thanks for coming by. We really got Chuck to not say anything. Congratulations.
All right. And the detective leaves. So you are now in the room with the four of you, Alex, and the corpse. And the body.
I didn't mean any offense, Doc. I promise. From the four, it's bare minimum. We need four to operate.
I mean, I can't. I'm going to be here anyway, so you are just going to be the four of you. I am going to watch this body and make sure if it disappears that I see what happens. And if I find out anything, I'll get it to you somehow.
Other than the
Are you saying I could not do anything by myself? I feel like I could do stuff by myself.
it is kind of a miracle that you survived this long. By
How
yourself.
dare you? How dare you? I could say the same.
That's also fair.
Yeah, we're gonna have words.
Doc, did you find anything other than the missing heart? Anything odd about the body?
The cause of death was the severing of an artery, so blood loss. He was stabbed by a something. It was. I'm not really sure. The blade itself. I don't know how to really explain. But it was not. It was not your average.
Pocket.
Pocket knife. Yes, that is not the case. And a lot of blood was gone. And
How much?
let
we
me
talking?
let's just say that when I got here, I wasn't hungry. And there was no risk of me being hungry. I don't know if they've just missed that in the reports or if this was a special case, but there was no blood in this video. At least not when I got here. There's no mention of it in the original coroner's report. Just that there was, just the cause of death was a stab wound and that the heart was missing.
And there are
but-
no puncture wounds anywhere on the body where the blood could be siphoned from, other than the hole that the heart's missing from.
Only the hole and the one stab wound. That is the only wound on this body.
Can we take a look at the stab wound?
If you would like, be my guest. And he just kind of steps away from the slab. The body is currently covered up by a tarp or a blanket sort of deal. I don't know what those are called.
That's all good. Teddy's definitely gonna you put on his PPE and kind of start. Just take a look at the stab wound.
Okay, you want to roll to investigate a mystery?
Yes, please. That is snake eyes. So anything that any way, nothing's gonna save that. So
Yeah, nothing's gonna say that unless you use luck.
no, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
We're doing great, guys.
So yeah, y'all are rolling wonderfully.
Yeah, I think we'll have this finished by the night.
All right. Anyways, so you roll back the blanket, and you try to find a stab wound, but it's hard to find a stab wound on a gurney.
I'm not really getting anything here, guys. Does anybody want to help me?
You're really not getting anything
Okay.
because the body is gone.
Oh,
What?
I did not foresee that,
You think?
but that wasn't me.
Well, honestly, with that roll.
The corporal just rushes over and just like starts like feeling around and like touching on the thing, like trying to find some way for it to
Yeah, he's
normally
invisible.
Can Teddy use weird science to try and like maybe he pulls out like a Geiger counter or a radioactive counter, some kind of like radar.
Actually, yes, absolutely. Go ahead and roll to see if you have what you need, because there is something that you may be able to use to figure something out.
All right, that's an 8 plus 2, so that is a 10.
That is a 10. So, yes, you pull out a couple of different things. You probably pull out a Geiger counter, nothing. And then you pull out an EMF reader.
Okay.
And it just starts going haywire. Like it goes from nothing to just, I mean, the beeping is echoing around this entire chamber, and then nothing.
Was it kind of like pushing more towards the frequencies of like radio waves or like ultraviolet gamma rays?
It was, I actually am not 100% sure. I don't know which direction this would go in. I'm just gonna say it's what would normally be picked up from a spirit.
Okay.
From a spooky, from a spook, a
Gotcha.
spirit, a
So
ghost.
one of those readings.
Yes. So because you would know, you've used these before.
I'll say it out to the group. I picked up a frequency there for a second. It's similar to spectral
5G?
energies. It's similar to spectral energies, Chuck. You know, spooky stuff. What we deal with.
Well, I don't know. Have you seen? I've read some articles.
I'm sure you have, Chuck. I
stuff.
really am, and I'm glad that you're staying informed.
Well, it's hard because I have to do it on the newspaper because I don't use computers.
Well, print is dying, so I'm glad that you're keeping it alive, one paper at a
I
time.
do not pay for it. It's a bold of me to assume.
Well, shit. But yes, I tell the group that it's a similar frequency to like spectral ghosts and things of that nature.
Can I use that cool tune in move I got to try and tune in with the so I can attune my mind to a monster or minion? I think Apophis would try to tune his mind to the corpse, knowing that might not work because it's a corpse, but like, you know, he assumes they are somehow, they being the corpses, are somehow working for that big bad or like somehow connected to whoever is.
I'm thinking here for a second.
Horrible
Can you read?
pastime.
Yeah, it hurts. Can you read to me the exact description of that move and how it works, please?
Yes, you can attune your mind to a monster or minion. Roll plus weird. On a 10 plus, hold 3. On a 9 to 7, hold 1. On a miss, the monster becomes aware of you. Spend 1 hold to ask the keeper one of the following questions and gain 1 plus ongoing when while acting on the answers. And the questions are: where's the creature right now? What is it planning to do right now? Who is it going to attack next? Who does it regard as its biggest threat? And how can I attract its attention?
Yes. Roll that. Do it. I dare you.
Alright.
That's a pretty clutch move.
Yeah.
That is a 9.
Okay, so you get to ask 1, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think the first question on Apophis' mind, as well as probably everyone else's, is where's the creature right now?
The creature, I don't know how, exact. I guess you are attuned to it.
Yeah.
The creature is below you.
Don't like that.
Apophis turns to
The
the
call's coming from inside the house.
Eclipse lady and goes, "Why have you not told us about the second morgue?"
They always get me with the second morgue. You never think about it.
Excuse me?
We have gone down to go to this morgue, yes. And the body is below us. Logically, there is a second morgue. I cannot get Apophis' voice right because my throat hurts, so I'm just gonna do a lower voice than mine.
It's all good.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it's great.
Below us? There is no second morgue. There's also no second basement. This is as low as it goes here.
Well,
Is
sounds
there
like we need to get the pickaxes going and do some old-fashioned work.
is there like a sewer system or something? I kind of like look around. Is the question to the keeper, is the investigator still in this room?
The detective? No, he left.
Detective,
The
apologies.
detective did, in
Okay.
fact, leave.
I am comfortable saying this in front of you guys, but I tell you all, why don't we do it in character? When I tried to angel wings behind the detective, I briefly went to this place that was dark and stinky and awful, and I saw hieroglyphs. Maybe that's connected
That's what I think
somehow?
the internet's like.
It is, Chuck. It's a dark, stinky place. Don't
With
ever
weird
go there.
hieroglyphs. I don't get it.
Everything the light touches is our kingdom. But yeah, is there a sewer system?
I guess
I
there could be.
don't live here. I don't know this place like the back
Why
of
are
my
we?
hand.
Wait. Can I
Well-
just ask, out of curiosity, Alex, what's the connection here? Why are we here? Why do you know these people?
And she makes sure that my clinic doesn't get shut down since, it is, in fact, run by an unlicensed half monster.
Okay, I got you. So it's like a
So-
favor thing. She calls you.
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
I help her and she helps me.
Just wanted to understand what my motivation was behind this.
None of us may live here, but the detective does. Let's not
Who?
mention that the body disappeared, but we can ask him if there's maybe, closed
sewer
off
sys-
sewer levels or something along those lines.
Interesting. I guess. Possibly.
I mean, we need to see what's on those surveillance tapes too.
I guess. I also kind of want to go to Big Zitti's.
Well,
He told us we'd have to wait for that, so
Well, what if we didn't?
I mean, he did tell you had to wait, but
Nothing. I mean, honestly, as long as we get we get back to the train, the magic train can tell us where the closest Big Zitti's is, and then we get there, and then we just do it ourselves.
y'all
Why do we
keep
need this
saying
old?
it's magic. It's just Google Maps. I promise you, it's just Google Maps. But
what I was saying
It's
earlier, but
locomotive Google Maps.
but let's check. Let's check in with the detective. Don't mention the body, and then hopefully by the time we're looking at the footage, maybe we can go to Big Zitti's.
I feel like I would like to negotiate the order of events a little more, but I feel like I'm going nowhere with this. So, fine.
Make sure to put on your reading glasses, Chuck, and we.
You're the one who couldn't see the body disappearing, old man.
I thought you were the older one. As we talk, as we go
By
up the
like
stairs.
a year. I don't even get you. You're crazy.
I will
as
try.
we
I will try and keep them from coming down here and discovering the body is gone.
Thank you, Alex. And I turn to Chuck and I'm just like, as a reminder, this man could get us all arrested. I, for one, have a lot
He'd
more
have to
life
catch
left
me.
to live than you do, Chuck. And I'd like to use it.
Well, that means you. I mean, honestly, well, yeah, you could use it in prison. I don't even.
I just kind of walk away, I think. I just walk towards wherever he
Okay,
went.
okay,
I
fine.
assume wherever the video footage is.
One more question before we leave this room, and that is that oh, when the body disappeared, did we see like the sheet drop or anything, or was it like he had pulled the sheet back and then like the blanket dropped, sort of?
It seemed to happen almost like at the same time. Like you
Okay.
don't know if that's what caused it or if it's just a coincidence, but
Mhm.
like it was almost as if it happened at literally the exact time that Teddy pulled it back.
Gotcha. So I guess Chuck and I and Anne, or I guess all of us, are heading up to take a look at the footage.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you when you basically head back outside, the detective is there, and he is currently in a conversation with a short, round man with pencil mustache. He seems very how can I put this? Loud. Very loud and very confident, but not like in a strong sense. More like the type of confident that that a Karen may have, we'll say, for lack of a better term.
Hmm.
I push Chuck towards him and I say, "Let them fight." I don't do that.
Chuck walks up and is like, "Have you? Hey, anyone read some articles recently?"
Beside the short, angry. Well, not he's not really angry. He just seems very pushy right now. But beside him is maybe a 30-something dude. He seems very average. He's wearing a nice suit. He is holding onto a clipboard, and like he keeps like scribbling little things down, looking between the two of them and scribbling things down. Yeah, so that is what you see right now.
Teddy will kind of like knock on the wall and be like, "Detective, is this a bad time?"
He starts a little bit, and then he forgot that you were coming, and he turns away like just very quickly, and then looks back to the man, and then he turns back, looks back to the man one more time, and he curses a little bit under his breath, and he goes, "Well, I guess this is whatever your name is,
Teddy.
yeah, sure, Teddy. Teddy, I introduce you to.
My name is Chuck.
Okay, sure. I introduce you all to our honorable Mayor Paul Doyle." And he gestures toward
Hello,
the
my
man.
name is Chuck. I go by no other names.
Suddenly looks at at all of you, like he's just now noticing you, and he scoffs a little bit. And he's like, "And just who are you?"
Again, I said I am Chuck. I do not. If you think you know me by any other name or title, that is false information.
Pleasure to meet you, Mayor. Theodore Ulysses Franklin. We're here helping as independent contractors of the police department.
And
Hi,
he looks
man.
up.
Nice to meet you.
I am an independent. Oh, I forgot to do my voice. I am an independent contractor. I have no name that you should care about.
We're doing great, guys.
It's
Oh, yeah.
it's Poppy, right? I don't even.
Apavis just gives Chuck a real dirty look.
He leans to Teddy. I thought that's what you called him. I don't-
We're not using that name anymore.
Oh, we're not. Oh, sorry. I knew you were really excited about that one. You were telling me a lot about it.
I was, but we're tossing it out. It's okay. We'll
Oh,
workshop
okay,
it
okay.
later.
Okay, I got you.
Well, good. So this is going to free up the good detective to finally get to work on the thing I wanted to work on, right? And the detective is like, "No, Mayor. I still have to do my job right now. We can't hold the opening right now. We will do it. I know we need to. We cannot do that right now with this mystery going on because we don't know who it is and they could be hiding anywhere."
An opening, you say? That sounds kind of fun. What's the? I appreciate
Another
Festivus
Big
things.
Zitties?
Yes, sirree. We're opening up a new courthouse.
Oh, I thought
The-
you. Okay.
The Paul Doyle Courthouse, right here in Illbrook.
Can
You
I
know,
s- wait,
that
are
name
you-
really rolls off the tongue. I appreciate that. It's good.
Why, I like this one. He's a good one.
You
I like
kinda-
your accent, boy.
You just kind
You
of
from around here?
taps. No, I'm from San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, well,
he's just very anti-Texas.
well. I guess that ain't so bad. You ain't one of them Yankees. Yeah. Yeah, that's
I've read some articles, but this is crazy.
yeah, we're gonna be opening up a brand new courthouse, named after yours truly,
Hmm.
because of the law and order that I helped bring in this town when I was a lawyer before I became mayor.
Well, that's mighty fine. Seems very. It definitely seems to suit you.
Yes, indeed. But apparently, we got to solve whatever this is going on before we can get that opened up. But I guess what we'll do is we'll find the culprit and have them be the first one tried in our lovely establishment. Let's see. In fact, yeah. Herman, write that down. And the average-looking man on the clipboard looks up and then he just writes it down, writes something down there. And the detective goes, "Well, Mr. Mayor, I got to get these down to the police station and get them some information so we can work on them." And he goes, "Well, all right. Well, if y'all need anything, y'all give me a call. I'll be down at Town Hall, which is right next to the beautiful new courthouse that's out there. So
Mayor Paul Doyle.
that's me. Anything that I could do to help get this situation resolved for the good of
But
the people."
I mean, there's a certain location I'd really like to go to.
Yes.
Oh, are you? Oh, okay. I thought we were all on the same page. I would like to see Big Zitties.
Well, it's I wish I could take you down there right now, but it's a bit of a mess.
Well, I think that's the point. I think we're trying to look at the mess.
Oh, well, detective, you make sure they get down there now. You hear? Yes, Mayor. I'll do what I can.
I'm glad we got this settled.
I was gonna do that anyway.
Well, but I feel like I wanted like an extra. I want like it's good to know like a higher authority is telling you that this is good.
Sorry. Chuck went full Karen and went to speak to his supervisor.
Yes.
Okay, and he gives just the most regal of bows, and turns to walk away. And Herman goes up and extends his hand, which I guess the average looking man extends his hand. He goes, "And I'm Herman Powell, his assistant." And he extends his hand to Teddy.
Teddy shakes it. Nice to meet you, Herman.
All right. And then he quickly turns and leaves. Inside Teddy's hand is a piece of paper.
Teddy will nonchalantly just kind of pocket it very quickly until the mayor leaves.
Okay. All right, well, let's get...
Did I see that? I just want to... Can I lead in? Be like, ooh, Teddy passing notes.
Well, for now, the detective says, well, let's... I guess we'll go on and get down to the police station and I'll show you them videos. I'd rather try and get this done before this body goes missing, too.
Out of curiosity, can you give us a ride?
I mean, hang on, how many are there? Well, yeah, it's not going to be comfortable, but I guess 3 you're going to have to cram in the back.
I call shotgun.
Sure, Chuck, you can take shotgun.
Yeah, I will.
Can we look at the tapes first?
I think they're at the police station.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
that's
we're
where
not. Oh,
going.
my bad.
Is the morgue separate from the police station, or?
Yes.
Brain hurty today.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Normally, like in a lot of towns, it isn't, but there
Sure.
are towns like this one where the morgue is separate.
That's fair.
You know what? I can meet you guys there. I have something I want to take care of first.
Maybe Apophis can go with you.
Yeah, that could work.
Please don't leave me with him.
The hesitation.
He's very mean to me.
I didn't catch that, Mars. You kind of... I saw you say something, but I didn't... Was that to us? Can't hear you.
Are you muted?
I think she's got to connect her headphones, probably.
And that's fine. I was actually going to say that this is probably a good spot for a break, if we want to take a quick break while you guys head to the... well, I guess not all of you are heading to the police station now, since Anna's going to split the party. And
Sorry.
no, that's okay.
Out of everyone, she's the fastest who could get back to us, so...
Yes, that was the intention.
Yeah.
What is going on?
No,
Such twists and turns in this mystery that
No.
we play.
but this will also give Mars a chance to maybe work through those issues. If everybody else is okay with taking a break 8 minutes earlier than when we would normally take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool with that.
Okay,
Okay.
guys, question time. Ask me questions and I shall answer the questions.
And so we'll be back in, let's say, around 15 minutes. So around 9:12, 9:13.
Yep, that sounds good.
Thanks again, everyone.
right.
We'll see
Yeah,
you soon.
we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Right after these. My name is Dr. Alexander Rose. And as hard as it may be to believe, I am a vampire. Well, at least partly. I don't even truly remember how this came about. You see, I had a problem with certain controlled substances. I was a user. I also gave freely out of the pharmacy connected to my clinic. There were many that I shared with. All of this culminated with one night, one bite, and my life changed forever. I'm now hunting for my sire, the one who turned me into this, and for any knowledge on my unique condition while trying to fix the life that I found myself in. I fight the urges. I work to try and make the world now a safer place for those like I once was, and for those like I am now. To prove my humanity remains, and that I'm more than monstrous.
My name is Anne Darelay, and it's lovely to meet you. For the bulk of my career, I've been a dating coach. This has been a bit contentious for my parents, who think that there are more respectable paths for me to take. What's important to me is that I'm helping people. That's not what got me to where I am now. One day, I stirred from a nap with a message from an unseen deity looping through my head. The apocalypse is coming, it said, and it is your duty to ensure it comes to pass. Something inside me had woken up. As silly as it sounds, I had powers. A year has passed, and I'm no closer to learning the origin of these powers, or bringing about the end of days at that, but I've still found a way to put them to good use. If you ask politely, I'll still give you tips on flirting with a beautiful stranger at the bar. But if they turn out to be a shapeshifter, then I'll be the one to take them out.
I am the head of Apophis, the Egyptian snake god prophesied to swallow the sun and bring about the end of the world. I was summoned from my slumber about 20 years ago by a group who didn't understand the weight of their actions, by a group that failed to acknowledge my power. And so I was split. I should have been risen as a horrifying, monstrous snake, large enough to swallow the sun, but instead I'm just the head of one. As I wondered, contemplating the life I now had before me, this form couldn't bring about the end of days, I began to appreciate the world around me and see what it had to offer. The apocalypse is my destiny, but I'm not sure it's the future I really want.
The name's Chuck Duval, though some people might be more familiar with my old work title, the Silencer. You could say I was a hitman. I used to take out anyone for the right price, be it people or monsters. How many people I killed is a secret between me and God. I've been retired for the past couple of years, but things change. Retirement got boring, and I don't have that much time left to waste doing crossword puzzles in between my daily dose of Vicodin. So might as well use it to silence a few deadbeats on my way out.
1 second, folks. Recalibrating the sonic rifle. Almost there. Hot damn! Oh, shit. Oh, I apologize. Let me introduce myself. My name is Theodore Ulysses Franklin. You can call me Teddy. Born in good old San Antonio, Texas, back in 1959. My mama was Mexican, my daddy a cow rancher, and sí, hablo español. After graduating from MIT with various degrees, I delved into some of the fringe sciences. There, I discovered the existence of the supernatural, and I realized my purpose: researching the unexplained and protecting normal folks from the terrors in the dark. My savings went into building Old Tex, my mobile base of operations, out of the scraps of a 442 Atlantic steam locomotive. Old Tex and I travel across the country, fighting monsters, protecting people, and riding the rails.
My name is Dr. Alexander Rose, and as hard as it may be to believe, I am a vampire. Well, at least partly. I don't even truly remember how this came about. You see, I had a problem with certain controlled substances. I was a user. I also gave freely out of the pharmacy connected to my clinic. There were many that I shared with. All of this culminated with one night, one bite, and my life changed forever. I'm now hunting for my sire, the one who turned me into this, and for any knowledge on my unique condition, while trying to fix the life that I found myself in. I fight the urges. I work to try and make the world now a safer place, for those like I once was, and for those like I am now. To prove my humanity remains, and that I'm more than monstrous.
My name is Anne Darelay, and it's lovely to meet you. For the bulk of my career, I've been a dating coach. This has been a bit contentious for my parents, who think that there are more respectable paths for me to take. What's important to me is that I'm helping people. That's not what got me to where I am now. One day, I stirred from a nap with a message from an unseen deity looping through my head. The apocalypse is coming, it said, and it is your duty to ensure it comes to pass. Something inside me had woken up. As silly as it sounds, I had powers. A year has passed, and I'm no closer to learning the origin of these powers, or bringing about the end of days at that, but I've still found a way to put them to good use. If you ask politely, I'll still give you tips on flirting with a beautiful stranger at the bar. But if they turn out to be a shapeshifter, then I'll be the one to take them out.
I am the head of Apophis, the Egyptian snake god prophesied to swallow the sun and bring about the end of the world. I was summoned from my slumber about 20 years ago by a group who didn't understand the weight of their actions, by a group that failed to acknowledge my power. And so I was split. I should have been risen as a horrifying, monstrous snake, large enough to swallow the sun, but instead I'm just the head of one. As I wandered, contemplating the life I now had before me, this form couldn't bring about the end of days, I began to appreciate the world around me and see what it had to offer. The apocalypse is my destiny, but I'm not sure it's the future I really want.
The name's Chuck Duval, though some people might be more familiar with my old work title, the Silencer. You could say I was a hitman. I used to take out anyone for the right price, be it people or monsters. How many people I killed is a secret between me and God. I've been retired for the past couple of years, but things change. Retirement got boring, and I don't have that much time left to waste doing crossword puzzles in between my daily dose of Vicodin. So might as well use it to silence a few deadbeats on my way out.
1 second, folks. Recalibrating the sonic rifle. Almost there. Hot damn! Oh, shit. Oh, I apologize. Let me introduce myself. My name is Theodore Ulysses Franklin. You can call me Teddy. Born in good old San Antonio, Texas, back in 1959. My mama was Mexican, my daddy a cow rancher, and sí, hablo español. After graduating from MIT with various degrees, I delved into some of the fringe sciences. There, I discovered the existence of the supernatural, and I realized my purpose: researching the unexplained and protecting normal folks from the terrors in the dark. My savings went into building old techs, my mobile base of operations, out of the scraps of a 442 Atlantic steam locomotive. Old Tex and I travel across the country, fighting monsters, protecting people, and riding the rails.
No.
No, well, it's a lot.
And
It's
we're
a lot
back.
different than what you would expect.
Oh, we're back? Oh, no.
Oh,
Huh?
shoot. Didn't see you there.
God.
That was the most nonchalant transition we've ever had.
Yeah.
Guys, I
we're
think we got away with it.
so
Guys, I
smooth.
think-
I'm
Guys,
the best.
I think
and you
we're
know
good actors. I feel like we should do something with this.
I
Do
am
you
a
guys want to start a podcast?
good actor.
Guys, what if
But with video.
guys, what if we
Podcast
did a
with
live
video?
stream
It's like a
and we
Michael
played
No.
like some kind of game, and so we could like
Overdone.
act, you know? 'cause we're
acting.
acting. Oh yes, I am an actor. I do many silly voices.
So, Anne, what are you doing?
Good question. First, I guess question to Apophis. Are you coming with me?
I kind of missed where you said you were going, but I'm happy to go wherever I am needed.
Yeah, I kind of didn't. But I think that I would tell you that I could use your eyes for something.
And Apophis will come with. He
Okay.
is better at doing anything but talking. So.
I don't know. Every time Apophis opens his mouth, he's got some good phrases, some memeable phrases, dare I say.
Indeed.
So
think
I
Mars froze
think.
again.
Oh no.
Okay.
Let's
anyway.
write it out. See maybe if it refreshes. But
Yeah. So I think if it was close by, I think Anne would want to go back to Teddy's train actually for a little bit of privacy. Is that possible?
I will probably caveat it and say that for sure, because Old Tex does have like defensive systems against intruders
Okay.
and strangers and things of that nature. So like from the get-go, if y'all are guests on his train, he would have maybe taken some thumbprints and maybe have surreptitiously taken some blood samples for Old Tex to have on file. But y'all should be able to enter the carriages for sure. Maybe not the workshop,
Okay.
but yes.
Alex needed
That
those
is-
anyway. The blood sample.
Or is that where you're wanting to go? The workshop?
No, just somewhere for privacy.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm just taking Apophis to a quiet, secluded place. Just the two of
Wow.
us.
Anne is you're gonna start some shippers out there. That's all I'm gonna say.
No, oh no. Yeah, Elsa in the chat is already saying we all want some privacy with Apophis ad. So, but yes, so I think we would go there. And I mention again to Apophis that I saw this strange dark place. And I would like to try to use magic to see that place. And see if I can discern a bit more detail about it. And the reason I want Apophis is because I saw hieroglyphs, but couldn't look for long enough to see what they were. So
Apophis
can I-
conveniently also has a good use magic score, so that is
well, there you go.
good to have on hand.
Yeah, I think I would like to do that. I think that once we get into the train car and don't get decimated by its defense system, we'll just sit down in the seats and kind of do this magic.
Okay. Is this use magic or is this big magic?
I think it's just use magic, because use magic on its own you can observe another place or time.
Okay.
And I think that's what I'm going for. Yes.
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
You may not know exactly where it is, but you can at least picture it in your mind what it looks like. So.
Right. That's what I'm going for. Okay?
Yeah.
So Anne chants a few words, moves her hands around a little bit, and also puts her hand onto Apophis, so that whatever vision she has, Apophis can also see. And I'm, for some reason, holding 3d6s, hoping for a better number, I imagine.
That's cheating. Go on,
So,
please.
I have good news and I have bad news.
Yes.
The bad news is that it's a 4.
Hmm.
The good news is I get to mark experience.
You do get to mark experience. I love that.
We're so good. We've got this in the bag, guys.
All right. I don't.
Is in the bag.
I don't think that you have passed any roll at all tonight.
I have not.
I mean, we've got 9s.
No. I meant
No, me
specifically Masha.
personally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you could technically say the same thing for me.
Okay. So
I have also not passed any rolls. I've also not made any rolls.
Mm-hmm. That's the joke.
Yes.
Hmm.
It's funnier because I explained it.
Oh, and you
People
also
get that.
take a -1 to that roll anyway because of your -1 forward.
I did. I did.
Oh, okay.
It was a 5 and it became a 4.
Okay. All right. So use. Oh my gosh, I can do so many things to you.
Don't do any of them. Just give me a free pass.
I can't do that. I kind of already did that with the phone earlier, so like, definitely can't do that now. Let me see.
What horrors await me?
That's a good question. I mean, it's not just you, is it?
It's Apophis too because I dragged them along.
You did,
Sorry,
didn't you?
buddy.
Please don't shatter my potted plants.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Chuck and Teddy are talking about his potted plants.
I was also going to sneeze, and the minute I muted my mic, I didn't have to sneeze anymore. So that was what that was, if anyone saw that.
Happens
I
to the
saw
best.
it. I've been cursed in this same way. You can come back to us if you want. If
Maybe
you
I
need a
will. Maybe
moment
I'll come back to
think
you
about how
too to think about what I'm going to do.
I
Maybe
goofed
maybe they'll inspire something for me. Yeah.
I'm
So
very inspiring.
let's come back to you two with in the cruiser. Which of you is in the back of the police cruiser?
Teddy's in the back.
Beautiful.
You know it.
All right, cool. So
I respect the rules of shotgun.
Yeah, I got you. I know a thing or two about shotguns. Am I right? Am I right?
So, you two are in the police cruiser heading through the small town of Illbrook with the detective in the car. Are you doing anything? There is country music playing on the radio.
I did want to ask.
Chuck changes the channel.
Teddy did want to ask the detective if there were, he kind of speaks to the detective from the backseat. He says, "Detective Kennedy, are there, out of curiosity, we've got a couple of pings after you left the room, and we were wondering if Illbrook had an extensive sewer system, or maybe old mine shafts that have been closed down, anything that might be subterranean."
A second morgue.
Subterranean. A second morgue, possibly.
I mean, y'all saw the morgue. I mean, there's a sewer system on the same level as the morgue in that basement area, but it ain't very big.
When you mean the same level, you mean like?
Well, I mean, y'all know that we went down a few flights of stairs just to get down to the morgue where it was nice and cool down there.
Right.
But yeah, it's right on the same level. Pings of what?
Well, we're already kind of heading towards the crime scene anyway, or to the police station anyhow. The body disappeared again, and when it disappeared, we were able to get.
Hang on. Cool. You can do that. The brakes are slammed.
Right? Yeah, I figured it kind of. I'm assuming there's like a cage in the back.
Oh
for
my
like
God.
actual curbs.
Yeah.
And
No,
so it
you
kinda, like,
can't do
latches on.
that.
There is.
He says, "I figured you might react that way. However, we did get something out of it. I pulled out some of my tools, and I found that whatever took the body left behind a signature on the electromagnetic frequency. From previous jobs, I know that this frequency is mainly used for spectral entities like ghosts.
Oh, great! We got a
poltergeists.
Ghostbuster. Your Ghostbusters too.
I mean,
Oh.
arguably the
mean,
better one, but
Honestly, it stinks because it's like you can't really you can't kill a ghost. It's already dead.
we can possibly set it to peace, and that will
Well,
leave you in peace.
well, maybe peace is not like it's negotiable.
Peace is relative,
So what?
sure.
Oh, sure, yeah.
A ghost is killing people and what?
Maybe he's lonely.
Where maybe he is. However, the idea
I am
being that
also lonely.
that's our lead right now. And when we found another ping, we got another lead as well, that the reading was coming from a level below the morgue. And so that's why I asked about the subterranean tunnels. Because if there's something down there, maybe we can investigate it and find out what's more without having to send any police down there and risking their lives for possibly no reason.
Listen, I've lived here my whole life, all right, and there ain't nothing lower than that morgue.
Mm-hmm.
Any town ghost stories or whatever, like there's an old guy who was the inspiration for a jack-o'-lantern.
Yes, stories tell of a local detective who will throw people in jail for being sassy smartasses.
What the? That does not seem like that holds up in a legal court, but I'm not going to comment on that anymore.
Yeah, I'm
Chuck
sure
sits
that
silently and he turns away and just starts whistling he's
Point taken, detective. Have there been any maybe construction projects that could have masked the mining of tunnels or something along those lines?
the only construction project that's happened, in at least 30 years has been the new courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
And when did the construction start for this courthouse?
Well, truth be told, it originally started about a decade ago, I'd say, but it was put on hold just because of funding and all that. And it was recently put back on maybe a year and a half ago, something like that.
Question for the keeper, just because I personally didn't write it down. How long have these bodies been? It's been like a week or something since the bodies have been murdered and disappearing.
2 weeks,
2 weeks.
Since Alex was told about the bodies. Alex told you that it's been 2 weeks that as far as he's.
Gotcha. Our friend, the doctor, told us that it's been 2 weeks since the bodies have been, since the citizens have been attacked and the bodies have been disappearing. Did anything maybe happen during that time with the construction in those 2 weeks? Maybe they started excavating more, or they hit bedrock or something along those lines. Something odd, maybe. Anything.
You want to know what happened within the past 2 weeks with the construction?
Sure.
It finished. That's what happened. They stopped doing it.
That's interesting.
So was it the same mayor who started the construction of the courthouse?
No.
Okay.
No, Bitson just showed up and put it back into effect whenever he found out that he could name it after himself.
Oh, okay. And is there any specific I guess significance of whoever started or where it's built? Yeah, you get where I'm going with this, right?
What, like on some
Ancient
Indian
burial ground? Yes, yeah, we got it.
No, not that I'm aware of. And he is driving again, by the way. He's no longer.
Oh, okay. He started again.
Yeah,
we were
he's no
just sitting in the middle of the road.
Yeah. Groovy not obeying me today for some.
It's all good. I got it.
So, okay. So, there's obviously some correlation to the finishing of this courthouse. Maybe it's something. I guess out of curiosity, did the person who started the construction of the courthouse die?
Like, you mean the mayor who ordered it to be started back then?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Died
Like
about
in
5
a
years.
painful way, like in his dying moments, he'd be like, "I curse this courthouse never be finished." You'd be surprised how much that happens.
Y'all are kidding me, right?
No, it's like literally like if I like I'd have like 2 nickels if I had a nickel for every time something like that happened, and 2 nickels isn't that much, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Unfortunately, it is something that could have something to do with the situation. So if there are records of that, great. If not, then we can probably leave that be.
I mean, there might be records, but we don't have them. There's a library up at the school. They house a lot of information up there about the history of the town. I mean, you can go look at that and see if there's anything. But I mean, as far as my memory goes, I don't remember none of that. It was like, since he's asking me, I mean, it was a courthouse before it was a courthouse. They tore it down and they just built up a new one to make it nice and pretty. So, and that one went back before my time.
No, okay.
Well,
I feel like there might be some relation to like history here.
Could be. They're usually, with small towns like these, history goes way back and it runs deeper than you think.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess
we just keep going to the police station.
Keep going, find those tapes.
Yeah, to take a look at the footage.
We better find those tapes.
But do they go missing too?
No, they ain't. But you made it sound like they do.
Well, I guess we should gun it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he kind of does, actually.
Yeah, road laws be damned. Let's go.
Punch it, Chewie.
At this point, he's a little concerned. Speaking of punching it, Chewie, let's go back to the other two. So, Anne.
Yes.
Oh.
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 I like it. The recursion.
Okay.
I tried to unmute myself and pressed hang up instead. And that happened.
Okay, and
hopefully that's not foreshadowing for what Dustin's about to say.
And Apophis. So Anne, you lightly touch Apophis on the back and you start channeling this magic. Where does Anne's magic typically come from? Like, how does she pull the magic to use it?
I think that a lot of the magic comes from her weapon, or at least she thinks it does. So she typically has, she does some chants, she says some words. As she was learning her magic, she kind of tried different combinations of things to see what kind of worked the best. And she found that, like, focusing on the handle of her whip while casting kind of gave her the best result. And so, I mean, I'm picturing it a certain way because I'm left-handed, that the handle of the whip is in her left hand and her right hand is on Apophis's, I guess, like, probably midsection, honestly, because she's aiming for the human shoulder, but that's not where Apophis's shoulder is. But yes, that is how Anne channels her divinity.
Okay. And what is she trying to do right now? She's trying to see this place that she saw before?
Yes, she has her eyes closed and she is focusing on everything, the blip of information that she gathered in that moment that she was in this strange, dark, stanky place. That is the imagery she's focusing on in her head.
That's good that you bring up the smell.
Great.
Yes, absolutely, because it definitely sticks out to you a lot. And so you really start to picture in on the smell, and your vision begins to blur, both of you. Your vision begins to blur, but this is probably something like if you ever used this kind of spell before, this is how it works. Your vision begins to blur, and then it becomes focused again, but it's not where you expected it to be. Instead, you are in what looks like some kind of train yard, maybe, and you are looking at a very familiar-looking train. And outside of this train are 3 shadowy figures slowly approaching it. And that smell is getting stronger as they get closer and closer to the train.
Dustin, do not
Cool.
destroy my train. Dustin.
The power is in my hands.
The first normal session, we destroy the train. We've all been hyping up to ourselves.
Does the vision fade?
Not yet.
Do we come back? Okay.
It sort of does. It fades a little bit, but instead of the magic going away completely, you're shown a second. Again, following this putrid stench. This time, you see a quaint little building. Outside, there's what looks to be 3 or 4 police cruisers, and the front of the building has a sign outside that says Illbrook Police Station. And you see another police cruiser pulling up very quickly. It looks like almost faster. And just inside the door, standing at the counter, staring out of the glass at this car as it's pulling up, are 3 more shadowy figures that seem to align with that smell of death that you experienced. And then the
Cool.
vision fades. How's it going?
Question for the keeper.
Yeah, what's up?
For the try my best to keep my train. The defense system on old techs, would it have a proximity alarm? I guess.
Would it?
I mean, I would want it to. Like if it.
And
like,
what would it do?
Essentially alert either anyone inside and then probably Teddy's phone, unless there's obviously like external interference or something along those lines of unidentified creatures or objects within, let's say 20 feet of the carriage.
20 feet? Okay. As your magic fades, you start to hear an alarm.
There's
Teddy, you do not get a text message.
Okay. I will say the old Texas AI kicks up, and you see an animated Big Tex, which is the giant cowboy from the Texas State Fair, kind of like pop up in front of you. And he says, "Howdy, y'all. Unidentified creatures coming up close by. Remember the
He's
Alamo."
terrifying.
And then he disappears.
We will say that your phone does buzz, Teddy, but when you get it, it's just random letters and numbers.
Yeah, Teddy doesn't.
Hieroglyphs, that's what I was telling you about.
You're right, Chuck. It's the 5G. Anyway,
Don't scare me like that.
I just wanted to let Anne and Apophis see the AI and hear the alarm.
Okay. So what do you do?
Do I feel like, so cover your ears, do I feel like Teddy's train could take care of itself?
Ominous question that you're asking me today. On this day, the day of Tuesday. What do you mean, take care of itself?
I think I'm trying to gauge, like, these these hooded figures are going to do a lot more damage to people at the police station than they are to a big hunk of metal. And so my thought as Anne is I take Apophis and we angel wings over there um to handle that situation over there because yeah.
I don't know. Saul, how do you think your train can how do you
Is
think
that
your
a
train
Big Zitti's bag?
No, it's an HEB bag.
You know what? No,
Sorry, good-
never mind. Read a bad situation.
Good call.
Let's see you roll something that's, positive.
That did you say I had any negatives going forward at all?
Not this time.
Okay, it's an 8.
It is an 8. Okay. It wouldn't have mattered if you had, because it would have just been another -1 if I did anything.
That is
Okay.
fair.
So that is read a bad situation. So you can ask one question from what's my best way in? What's my best way out? Are there any dangers we haven't noticed? What's the biggest threat? What's most vulnerable to me? And what's the best way to protect the victims?
The train is a victim. The train is a victim.
I know that no one's phone is working, but I do hear Teddy's voice in the back of my head. Southern drawl. It's just like,
Else,
and you won't get any sweet tea if you let my train get hurt. I think that the question I'm kind of going for here is what's the best way to protect the victims?
Yes.
So,
And I
that's a
think
good
that
question.
includes the people in the second vision as well.
I will determine who it means.
That's fair.
But you have this feeling that these creatures are not hunting an inanimate object.
That's also fair.
That if they're there, they're probably there for, the two people who have unintentionally made contact with them and the people that they are with. Or perhaps the people who are looking into certain things. So getting whatever you're trying to protect as far away from you as possible is probably the best way to do it. Outside of that, having you ready to hit things is probably the best way to protect them. You are the target. You and Apophis specifically are the targets right now.
I guess one final question. Is Teddy's train warded at all, or could I angel wings out of it without any issue?
I would say Teddy's train isn't. Teddy's not really a magical person, so he doesn't necessarily have wards up. It's more of kind of like it's a sophisticated defense system that is. There's a lot of things inside of Teddy's train that could be a danger to everyone within a 5-mile radius if things were to happen to it. So it has to do a lot of things to protect that specifically. But it's not magically warded, no.
So I think that I think that Apophis saw this same vision.
Yes.
Right, and so Anne is going to turn to Apophis and she's just going to say, what do you want to do? I'm thinking we go help out our friends.
I think Apophis' first instinct is also to get the pals, get the gang back together. But I think he doesn't want it to be in a populated place necessarily. So I think his first instinct is to tell Anne that she should go get them and bring them here instead of us going to them.
Okay. I think that there's no time for thought here. I think Anne nods and then angel wings over to. I think that she would angel wings to Teddy, because you can do that to someone that you know well, and I think that Anne and Teddy have a good enough friendship that she could do that easily.
We have a rapport.
Yeah.
No
And that's
one
not a
knows.
roll.
Yeah.
It's not a roll when it's me by myself. So
I
I don't
know.
have an opportunity to fail.
And while
You just appear in the car.
Anne is doing that, Apophis is going to go outside and try and keep them away from the train because he also knows how Teddy feels about the train.
Okay. So, Anne, we will say that you appear just as the detective is opening the back door for Teddy.
Hot damn! And I will never get used to that.
And the
I'm weirdly used to it at this point.
the detective has drawn his gun again.
You're very like trigger happy. I feel like there's like a deep-seated problem there we should probably explore.
Look, I don't have time for you to point your gun at me. Whoever these people are that are doing these attacks, there are 3 of them here right now. And I look Teddy deep in the eyes and I say, and there are 3 of them at Old Tex.
Take me
Would
back
you
right
like
now.
to come
Take
with
me
me?
back right now.
Where?
then
Wait, hang on. And the detective like looks around like he's looking, but you can do what you're going to do first.
Chuck, would you like to come? The roll is the same.
I guess might as well. I'm not. Can you take? I guess we can. You at least take us back when it's all done.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
Guys,
we kind of drove all the way here, so it'd be like a shame if we were just like, oh, now we have to
Right.
drive all the way back.
I am going to try to take these 2 people with me back over there. And as a reminder, I've been goofing up all my rolls today, so
Yeah.
you're putting a lot of trust in me.
Let's see how this goes.
Chuck
All
is
right.
no help.
That is the second dice I've dropped off the edge of the table.
Can Teddy try and help at all?
Please. Please help. You know what? It actually won't matter. I rolled a 5.
Oh my gosh.
Damn.
This
Have you
isn't
leveled up
really-
again yet?
No, but damn near. This is getting embarrassing. I'm trying to make all these cool moves, and the universe and my dice are really just...
So you end up somewhere completely different, right?
So
Okay.
on a 7 to 9, you don't quite manage it. Either you are all separated or you all appear in the wrong place.
Oh,
So I think when I fail, it just probably just doesn't work at all.
Okay, sure.
I almost feel like putting us in the wrong place is worse.
Oh, it is.
Like,
I'm sure.
yeah, like separating us all is a lot worse than we're just still here. Unless it's like a really bad situation, I guess.
I think this is a situation like with any failure, the keeper gets to make a hard move.
Yep.
So
And you are going to take a surge of magical power that I mean it hurts. It hurts. And yeah, you are going to take we'll say just 1 harm, ignore armor.
Ouch. This detective is just looking at me like I'm a crazy person right now, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, can I assume that we don't carry over harm from the last game?
Yes.
Yes.
I was like, whoa, Chuck said 3 harm. That's kind of weird. Don't remember that.
Chuck's just been unstable this whole time, just bleeding out casually under his coat.
Chuck's always unstable.
He won't let any doctors touch him to fix him.
He's like, I don't trust this modern medicine.
So we haven't moved at all. Like,
Correct.
We're stuck in the same spot.
We're still in the car.
Can I just try again?
Can you just try again?
Yeah.
Chuck is
Famous
gonna,
last words.
Chuck will kind of like look at Anne and say, Well, what are you waiting for?
Whoa, hold on. I think you mean Teddy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Teddy will look at. Oh my God, it's happening already.
The body swap episode's happening right now. What's going
Oh
on?
no, that was my fail.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
I am now inside Chuck's body. All I crave is Big Zittis. All I can think of, Big Zittis. I get it now. I understand his plight.
I'll let you try again. But if you fail this time, then the penalties will be worse.
Great, love it. Does anybody want to blow on my dice? Thank you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Apologies, stream.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
Okay, at this point we're
Masha
in like
dice.
we're in a desert.
It's literally Snake Eyes.
Masha, no.
You killed Chuck. Oops.
Yeah. Those dice are going to jail forever.
Only the second episode, and half the
Oh my
party
gosh.
dies.
I have earned 5 experience this one episode.
Oh my gosh.
Team,
So
I cannot express to you how sorry I am.
Chuck
I am
looks at you
putting
and
these
is just
dice
like
in the garbage, the
Chuck
trash.
looks at you and is just like, you know, at this point, I think we'd have more luck with me doing magic.
everyone is prone. The car is gone.
Well, I hope you had car insurance.
What do you mean the car? Like, are we in the same spot, but the car is gone?
Yes.
What time of day is it?
No, it's still the same time of day. The car is just gone.
Oh, you thought time travel? That'd be
yeah.
crazy. This early in the game?
No, I mean that did in fact happen last time.
It wasn't
Like,
really time travel.
Saul
though.
hit us with that.
It was a
No,
gradual. It's fine.
It
it's
was
fine.
more of like a gradual, like we're in a different
So-
like time zone.
So the car is gone.
The car is just gone.
And the detective with it?
No, the detective's still there. He's standing there, and now he looks very confused.
I wonder, either someone's very happy that they just got a new car, or someone's not so happy because there's.
All right, speaking of that, Apophis, what are you doing?
Oh, no.
Well, now I'm scared to roll, but I think Apophis is gonna go out there and. How heavy does one think a train is? Heavier or less heavy than a truck? Or bus?
It is heavier
Way
than a truck.
heavier.
I can tell you right
Yeah,
now.
I feel like
it's
it's a
heavier
little-
than a truck.
I feel
That is fair.
a wee bit.
The minute I started asking that, I was like, a train is heavier than a truck, and then it was already halfway through the question. But I don't think Apophis can pick up a train then, which is deeply unfortunate. But he is going to look for the largest heavy item he can find,
Well,
which I'm assuming is what am I trying to say? I'm assuming in a train yard is some sort of large steel beam.
it's actually a police cruiser. Think fast because it's falling on top of you.
Oh, lovely! I'm going to take this police cruiser and do I see the bad dudes? The stinky dudes?
What stinky dudes?
The stinky dudes we saw in the vision.
The shadowy
Stinky
ones?
dudes.
Yeah.
Who?
I do not.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
games
cool.
are being played.
What stinky dudes?
I'm
yeah,
going
sorry about
Dustin.
to
What?
pick up the car and then just
Friggin'
kind of hold it,
gaslighting
I
me.
guess.
What are you talking about? What's wrong?
The shadow guys.
What
Come
shadow
on.
guys?
Oh my gosh.
Hey. Hey, you.
Yeah? Hey, how's it going?
I'm angry with you.
Stop.
Yeah? Are you?
Hey. Hey, stop
Hey.
it. Stop. Get some help.
Oh,
Yep.
God.
What are you doing,
Apophis,
Apophis?
gets out there and is expecting some sort of battle, but does not see or smell anyone, so it's just holding a police cruiser.
Yep.
Also, he is in his snake form, not his human form, because humans can't generally hold police
yeah, for sure. I mean, at least that's what the 4 dudes that just walked in the train yard are going to talk about. Smile for the pictures.
Yep.
Yeah?
Questioning what to do here, because I was expecting a fight, and there appear to be no stinky dudes.
Nope, just 4 regular people who are now screaming and leaving.
Apophis, like, lets go of one of his hands on the police cruiser and just waves.
We get it.
And-
You're tough.
I guess just, like, prepares
Sweet
for a
abs.
fight, or for Anne to come back, because now he is very out of his element. Can I actually... I remembered there's a role for not knowing what to do, and it's called Investigate a Mystery. Can I investigate a mystery?
Absolutely.
Cool. 6 + 2 is 8, minus... yes, -1, so 7.
Okay, on the 7 to 9, you hold 1. You can ask what happened here. What sort of creature is it? What can it do? What can hurt it? Where did it go? What was it going to do? What is being concealed here?
What is being concealed here would be the number 1 question, I think, on Apophis's mind.
That's probably a very good question. Let's see. How can I... So you're still holding the police car, and you know what? Sorry, Teddy. Not your car, not your train, not the train. But inside on the back seat of that is the EMF reader from before, and it starts going crazy.
This has been a roller coaster, guys. Oh man.
And then it stops.
I need some ibuprofen.
Can Apophis try and make it beep again and swing the police car around wildly when it gets to the beeping?
I mean, you can try.
I will try and do that.
The most
so-
cumbersome metal detector.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're waving around, but the beeping does not start again. You could go over the entire train yard, and it does not start again. And in fact, Teddy gets another text message that reads whatever old text would show for all clear. I don't know what kind of hokey stuff that old text would show. But yeah.
I guess Apophis is just waving a police car around.
Yes, absolutely.
All's clear on the western front.
Sure, there you go. Remember the Alamo.
Remember the Alamo. I was asked specifically to mention that, so.
Okay, well, whoever that was, Teddy did it. I guess Tex did it. All right. So what are what are the rest of you doing? The detective is freaking out about where his car went.
I mean, Chuck's just. I guess Chuck's just lying back, like face up on the pavement, just like all my bones hurt.
Yeah, if you were sitting in the car, you were lying face up right now.
And then we see Apophis running down the street Baywatch style with the police.
Throw that like a javelin.
Teddy's
Anyway,
very
Chuck's
silent.
just totally
thinking
dumbfounded.
The worst has happened to his train.
Chuck like kind of cranes his neck back towards Teddy. Just like, your train's probably destroyed.
You have a hernia, Chuck. I've known for 2 months now.
Where
Don't
did my
say that.
car go?
Don't say that. Take it back.
I don't know where your car went, detective.
Look, bodies have been disappearing. Is a car really the craziest thing ever? Think about it.
Teddy.
Yes.
Okay, well, can someone help me up?
Don't help.
I
him
have
up.
fallen, and I cannot.
Drink from
He has laugh alert for a reason.
I do not. You're a liar.
I think Anne is just kind of laying on the floor, like hands over her face, just like groaning in pain and frustration.
She is in charge of babysitting 2 old men.
Well, not only that, but she like received the only message from her deity for the first time in a long time, and just everything has gone to shit since. So, like, was it a crank text? Like, was it a prank call from an ex-boyfriend? Like, she doesn't know.
It was me. I actually do have a phone.
I'll tell you who it wasn't, Lady Luck.
Yeah, for real.
Teddy's going to get up and kind of like pat himself down to see if he still has most of his equipment. I'm assuming he maybe notices that his EMF reader is gone.
Yeah, that's the only thing that would be missing, just
Gotcha.
because it worked thematically.
He's gonna walk over to Anne and offer his hand and say, "We dust ourselves off, right?"
You're a bastard, Chuck says. A few feet away, lying down still.
I think that so defeated as my character and as myself right now. I think that Anne is going to angel wings by herself back to Apophis, because I think it clicks in her head. Like, where would the police car have gone? Oh God! Oh no! So Anne is going to angel wings back over to Apophis. What do her elf
like,
eyes see?
Is this thing on?
Teddy's hand just drops and he just kind of like starts popping his back before heading towards Chuck.
Oh, finally! Oh, you got to me finally. How kind! How generous!
Take his cane away and cut the scene back to them.
You're a bastard.
Oh, good. Can we rename our show like Old Man Banter, the actual play?
Again, our slogan should be, "We have old men."
Welcome to Old Man Banter.
We have
We
old
have
men.
old men.
Do you want old men? Well, we've got them.
Oh man.
Is the train hurt?
No.
You're not here, so you wouldn't know.
I
Yeah.
was asking the keeper because I know he has the answer.
I thought about saying what train, but I'm not going to do that to you.
It's gone.
No, the train is fine, and for the moment, Apophis seems fine.
Oh, that's a GIF. The paper bag.
Whole head in paper bag,
Yeah.
breathing heavy.
So yeah, and you show up and see Apophis swinging around a police car.
Apophis, where are the stinky men?
I like how that's what we've defined them.
Official Monster of the
know.
Week classification of these monsters.
It's going in the Enchiridion.
Yeah, I have a name for them, but I can't tell you without spoiling. So
Well, it's Stinky Men.
yeah,
It's
that's fine.
stinky
You
men.
can call
Yeah.
them Stinky
Stink
Men.
boys.
Don't tell me it's not.
Sure.
Smelly dudes.
Apophis just looks at Anne and kind of shrugs. They have gone away, I think. And he kind of, when he says "I think," he kind of like whirls the car around, like,
Anne?
Bonk. Boop. Well, you can tell that I didn't bring the boys, but I did bring that. And I point to the cop car that Apophis is currently swinging around.
Yeah. You probably have no idea how you brought that, by the way. Like that.
No,
was...
I just assume like that I did that.
Good assumption.
I don't know what to do. So, Oh, I know what we could do.
Get new dice.
No more dice. No more dice rolling. I refuse. I can't. Apophis, could you put the car down, maybe?
Apophis kind of looks sadly because like it's his first time he gets to use a car this time, but then he puts it down.
I would like to see if it still operates. Like, is the key in the ignition? Or is it like goofed up, this vehicle?
It's not goofed up, but the detective would have had the keys because he had to let Teddy out of the back.
Yeah. So it's the remix to ignition. Hot and fresh out the kitchen. I'm sorry. It doesn't fit. I'm so sad right now. So no, there's nothing in there.
There's there's no car keys or, I mean, there's the EMF reader, but that's.
I think I grabbed that out of the car, but I don't think. I don't think that Anne realistically could start this car. Like, I don't think that she has any magic that could do so, and she has no experience hot wiring vehicles.
Yeah, too bad the person who probably does is on the other side.
Yeah. Man. I tell Apophis that they can pick the car back up for the time being because I don't know what to do. And I think that at this point, Anne just kind of like sits down with her head in her hands and just like takes a deep sigh. I think Anne is just gonna take a minute.
All right, well, while you do that,
Thanks.
let's come back over to Chuck and Teddy.
I have helped Chuck to his feet.
Thank you so much.
Back his cane, but I will hold on to the cane for a second and say, "So help me, we will not get Big Zittis after this if you do not cooperate."
How dare you? I have literally been cooperating every single step of the way. You are the person who is constantly, and excuse my French, being kind of a big meanie.
Well, we're pushing forward now, and
please, you first.
Is the detective even there still?
No, he's inside. He left you. He's gone.
Because you
Took too long
tortured
to
Chuck
stand up.
for a while.
Oh, you want your cane?
Ooh, it's right there. Oops.
Top it a bit.
You missed it.
So Teddy will head into the building, hopefully, to look at some footage.
How riveting.
Oh, yeah.
Life is.
Well, okay. As you enter in, you hear a familiar voice, the detective, shouting, "What do you mean they're gone?"
Oh my gosh. I turned to Teddy. I'm like, I feel like I'm so tired. I don't feel like
You all might have forgotten about one part of Anne's vision earlier.
Oh,
but they don't exist, Justin. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about. What stinky man?
Teddy's gonna be like, I think your blood sugar is pretty low right now because you've only been drinking the whiskey.
My body's 100% alcohol.
Maybe we should maybe get something to eat while we wait for
Oh,
Anne
really?
and Apophis
Really?
to get back.
Really, we should get something to eat. Weird. I wish someone would have brought that up before.
Listen,
Crazy
you're
how
gonna
no
have
one
to
listens to me.
You're gonna have to deal with no Big Zittis this time around. I'm sure we can find a
How
diner
dare you.
somewhere around here.
I mean, it's kind. That's kind. I mean, it's very. Big Zitti's has that diner aesthetic, you know.
I mean, they do, but they're not open because somebody was
mean,
murdered there.
Again, if your train had like Big Zitti's detection magic.
It's called Google Maps.
You keep saying that like I know what Google is.
How?
So I will say that I did not intend on just destroying the party without even fighting you guys this session, but
Wait,
done,
This is
done
the
a
We
pretty
just
good job of
read
that so
ourselves.
far.
This is the first act.
That's
We're
not
supposed
you.
to split apart before we come back together.
Yeah.
Stronger.
I just want to go to Big Zitti's. Can we? Anyway, let's see what's missing.
We go
Chuck
over to
rolls
the
his eyes and
detective.
walks towards the noise.
Yeah, we head over to the detective Kennedy.
The tapes are gone, all 3 of them.
Oh, crazy! Who would have guessed?
Chuck, we are literally in a police station.
That's not like
It would be the
illegal to
easiest thing.
say. I called it. Like I don't even. Like I told you so. It's not like a crazy thing. Like, oh, how dare you? You're under arrest, sir, for being right. Government, am I right? He nudges the police officer.
And Chuck, or Teddy's going to, it's a great question. Is there, he's gonna ask the detective, is there a room where your security footage is kept in? Because now
I
I'm
mean-
looking for the security footage of the taking of the security footage.
I mean-
Oh my gosh.
It was in
Inception
We
question
live
it was in
in
mark?
evidence
Real world.
lockup. Fine. Down the hallway to the right is the security room. I'll call ahead. I gotta make a few phone calls. I'm gonna call back to the morgue, see if they got any extra tapes or anything like that. See if we can get them that way.
All right.
If
so-
there were extra tapes at the morgue, we should have watched them at the morgue.
I don't think there are any extra tapes at the morgue, but I have to at least try.
I feel
Alright.
like if there were, it would have been brought up.
his blood sugar is crashing right now.
We're
gonna get it
so
fixed soon.
tired.
And
Well,
we're-
get him a damn Nutri-Bar or whatever
Do
and
you
get going.
by chance have any Big Zittis in lockup? It
And
doesn't
locked up
matter
like
if
you
it
got,
has
like, a
cocaine in it.
sandwich. Like you got like a sandwich anywhere? You got like a Big Z, like someone ordered Big Z's conveniently and was like keeping it in the fridge for later, and then, you know,
I mean, I got leftovers, but
like from Big Z's.
yeah.
Yeah, you do. Who's
Yeah.
my best friend? This guy.
Vegetarian burger?
Oh, slightly disappointing, but okay.
Dustin, you're amazing. Thank you.
I'll take what I can get.
Okay.
I didn't say you could have it.
Well, you didn't not say.
Listen, I gotta make a phone call. Y'all go, whatever. Go.
I try to
going
find the fridge.
Teddy's gonna like grab Chuck's face and make him look in the eyes, and he's gonna say, "I'm gonna check the security footage of lockup. You go find that fridge. Don't get
Yeah,
arrested."
I will. I don't. You have so little faith in me. It's honestly offensive. Okay, let's do this. I go find the fridge.
And I will go to lockup or to the security footage room for lockup.
Okay. Sorry, I looked at chat and Elsa is being Elsa again.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, so you head down to the lockup, and it takes a minute because the detective it takes a minute to call ahead, but eventually the person lets you in to look at the security footage of the security footage. And
Do I need to roll like investigate a mystery?
yes, because you're going to pour over it to see what happened. You have access to it, like that's just going to happen. But it's just to see if you can pick up on anything from the footage itself.
Fair.
To do that. So go ahead and roll for me.
That is a 9 plus 1, so at 10.
Okay, so on a 10, hold 3. And you could ask any of the following questions. What happened here? What sort of creature is it? What can it do? What can hurt it? Where did it go? What was it going to do? What is being concealed?
Do you mean hold 2?
Yes, that's what I meant to say.
Gotcha. No worries. My first question would be what happened here. Specifically looking for any disturbances within the lockup room around the time that I guess we were.
I was about to warn you that old Tex is driving by our house right now.
Nice.
Yep.
This is awesome.
There it is.
Live sound effects.
Is that a real train?
Yeah.
Wow.
I live next to a
Wow.
railroad. That's just
Choo choo, chugga chugga.
That really scared me.
Remember this noise also for when Teddy uses his sonic rifle. Just keep that in mind.
Can you imagine if that had gone by at the exact moment?
We're gonna have to
I would
time
be
this.
so
Okay.
Okay.
It was really loud, and I was like, "Who's playing the sound effect right now?"
I'm immersed.
Yes. So I'm essentially combing like for the last 10 to 15 minutes of like to see any disturbances whatsoever around that time of like tapes being taken away.
Absolutely. And what you see are 3 orbs, 3 gray floating orbs that seem to enter into the lockup. After a few seconds, they suddenly pop, and they are 3 shadowy figures standing and just staring at them. They have their hands in what look to be hoodie pockets, so you can't see anything other than just the human-esque figures standing there, staring at the tapes in lockup, and then suddenly they're gone, and so are the tapes that they were moving.
So they are. You said that they were wearing hoodies, or they're hooded.
It looks as though they are wearing hoodies.
Any other articles of clothing, like jeans and sneakers?
I mean, they are wearing pants. Yes,
Okay.
yeah. They look like they're humans.
We just can't see hands or their visages.
Correct. All you can see is like their clothes. Like there's they look very modern, but they're hidden. So it's like if someone were to say, "I saw a hooded figure like yesterday," you're probably going to think of someone with a hoodie up and their hands in their pockets, looking very shady.
Gotcha.
That is what they look like.
Okay.
The hoodies themselves are probably about the shade of Chris's sweater. Yeah.
Okay. I will hold my other investigative mystery question because I want to get into the room, into the location that they were at, if possible.
Okay. We'll see if you can do that in a little bit. Chuck, what are you doing?
I think we all know what I'm doing. I'm getting my burger. I find the fridge.
You sure do, but it's empty.
What those This is the worst thing the police have ever done. Or anyone. Yikes, okay. Chuck just weeps.
Just in front of this old dingy, like probably 90s white refrigerator.
Gosh, now like Chuck, I don't know what to do with myself. Okay, I guess Chuck, like, sadly, like Charlie Brown, like Christmas time is here, just like walks head low to Chuck or to Teddy.
Yeah, it's about this time that the detective walks up as well, I couldn't get through to the morgue right now. The interference is insane in here.
I couldn't get my sandwich if anyone cares.
Yeah, it's back at my house. I didn't say I had it with me.
What? You're
Goodness gracious. Anyways, man, he's a monster for Big Zitti. What did you look at the tapes? Did you see anything?
Maybe you should go check yourself, because I'm not sure how much you'll believe what I say, but I do want to take a look inside a lockup. If you want to accompany me, I totally understand. I just want
Y'all made my car disappear.
Okay.
All right. At this point, I think I'm beyond.
Allegedly.
allegedly. You can't. There's no evidence.
I'm beyond David blaming you. Okay, David explaining or whatever his name is. Like, let's.
Fair. So 3 gray orbs floated into your lockup, popped, and turned into 3 hooded figures wearing hoodies and clothes and shoes, and they stood in front. They stood in front of the tapes, and then they winked out of existence with said tapes.
Yeah, sure, that might ought to happen.
So I figured we could go inside, find the spot where they were standing, and do some other investigating.
Are you asking me right now to let you into evidence lockup?
Yes.
Not by myself. You can
With
come
me.
with me. Not with Chuck.
What?
Chuck,
That's
you
mean.
stay here.
Why?
I need you to roll manipulate someone again, Teddy.
I would like to do something. I don't think I can help in any way. Like besides, Chuck is definitely with.
Roll to help. You can roll to help out if you want. It's plus cool.
Okay. I'm a cool guy.
Yeah, that's fine.
First roll of the night. We did it.
Teddy's looking.
5, 3, 2, 10. Math.
Okay. Wow.
How much charm do you have?
Is it
no, that was
charm?
help
I thought
out.
it was cool.
He's helping you out.
Gotcha. My bad. I was like, what? what world is this?
No,
yeah.
charm is -1. If this was a charm thing, it would have been 7.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you got a 10 to help out?
Yep.
So that's a +1 to my roll?
That's a +1.
That's perfect, because I rolled a 5, so I got +1 for charm, so that's 6.
Oh.
With the +1 is a 7, so mixed
Is that
success.
7? Okay, cool.
Old man
and-
combo. We did it.
And it turns out that helping out is also what you're going to need to do to show that you mean it. And let's have Chuck stand outside.
Chuck, just it won't take too long. Okay.
I'm at this point. I just expect it from you.
Listen, he heard the person call you the silencer, and so he's, a little more wary of you than literally
it's like
anybody else.
rumors. Like that's like like someone call you walk up and you're like, oh, you're such a Charles Manson. It's like you don't really.
Listen, Big Zitties will be on me, and we'll get you some extra fries, okay?
Oh. Thank
Maybe a
you.
little toy.
He stands outside the door, just sad and alone.
All right, so he takes Teddy into lockup.
Okay. So Teddy would probably go to that specific area that they were standing in, like gauging it from like the camera angle. And I would probably spend my last investigative mystery hold to... I'm going to choose where did it go. And if I may, I would probably say that Teddy's trying to find... he doesn't have his EMF reader, but if there's anything else that he could... any other kind of like maybe energy signature that he could at least pinpoint, and then if he goes back to old text, maybe he can like send out a resonating signal and get like a ping somewhere in town.
Oh yeah, this is easy. There's gross goop on the ground.
Oh hell yeah, he's gonna take out some test tubes that he just has in his coat, and he's gonna start scooping that shit up. He's gonna like
it a
little bit.
It's weird, it's gray, and it reeks. Like it stinks of death. Like even the detective is like, oh, he has to cover his mouth. And he's like, that smells like decay.
It sure does. Teddy's very excited. He's like, just getting.
In fact, did you say Chuck is waiting just outside?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're muted, but I'm gonna say
am.
okay. I can read yours. You also smell it. It's a little less potent than in the room
I
itself.
just assume it's the police.
All right.
Okay.
Anyways.
This was fun. This was good. Good night, guys. That's it.
Teddy's gonna cork it up and put it back inside his cloak and say, "Right, detective. Thank you. You can escort me out now. I'm gonna head back to my lab, and
you were gonna tell me what you find out about that is what you're gonna do.
I am. Do you wanna come see my lab? Actually, probably not. Let's just exchange
definitely not.
numbers." I got excited
Well-
there for a moment because it is a fun experience, but maybe
No,
it's
thank
best we
you.
don't cross the beams. So
The car gone. Not gonna. No.
I guess a
Um,
ride's out of the question. Then back to the. No.
He just looks at you.
Yep. We're gonna leave now.
He hands you his business card though.
He'll
Has
take
his
it
number on it.
and put it in
Okay.
his jacket.
Okay.
And then he's going to put an arm around Chuck and begin to guide him out of the police station.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey. He said, just 1 second. And he steps into his office and he comes out with a bag of Big Zitti's fries.
How we fucking did it. I don't know why I went weirdly. I went like weirdly British. Man.
Yeah.
We fucking did
We
it.
did it, mate.
Oh,
You guys-
yeah. We got the CDs.
And he says, listen, I still don't quite trust y'all, but far be it from me to disrespect my elders enough to let one walk out and have a diabetic coma on the way back to wherever y'all are staying. So here's some fries.
Chuck closes his eyes and like his hand shaking goes out to grab the bag, and once he confirms that it's real, he walks up and just awkwardly hugs the detective.
The
then
detective
he's-
awkwardly like pats like and looks around a little bit like
And then he walks away and is like, got him, sucker, to himself.
mm-mm.
Grifter.
Classic.
Okay. Hmm.
Okay, so we're out of here. We don't have a car.
Sorry, folks. We're figuring out.
Yep. The groovy
Groovy bot.
is
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not very groovy.
oh, there we go.
Yes,
There we go.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay.
There's my boy, my
Yeah.
sweet boy.
I am probably going to be bringing this session to a close soon anyway.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I already have a way of how I'm going to end it.
Teddy's,
if
possible, Teddy will just kind of like shake the detective's hand like, extremely firmly and just like clasp it with both hands and be like, "You do not know how much that means to us. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'll call you soon. He just kind of wipes his.
May your children's children be blessed," and then leave.
Chuck is already has a handful of the fries. And is just eating them like a monster.
They are cold, but I mean, it's Big Zitti, so it's good cold too. Yeah,
Still good. They're good.
he's probably crying. That's my picture. All right.
Room temperature.
Um.
And then I guess Chuck and Teddy just walk back to the train
Walk
station.
back.
Okay.
Chuck is
We need as
complaining
much
about like
exercise as
his
we need.
his ankles the entire time.
Yep.
Back in my day, I used to walk 2 miles to get to school. This is
Yeah,
nothing.
sure, whatever, and through the the thick snow or whatever, and it was so
Uphill
hard.
both ways.
There's not really
You
any
know.
thick snow in Texas, but sure.
Sure, yeah. You know, with all your magic science nonsense, you think you'd have like a car?
I have
So
better means.
yeah.
No, but really not because you're very constrained to just a railway system constructed in what, the 1700s?
I don't have to deal with traffic. Cuts down on half the time.
But it's also a train.
That's right. Anyway, sorry, Dustin.
Okay.
So they walk up to, unless Apophis and Anne left during this time. Do you have anywhere that you wanted to go?
Did we? I think that Anne would have, in that time, like, realized that looking around her area would also be smart. If I could use the EMF reader to, like, go to where my bird's eye view showed me the 3 creatures were,
Okay.
and perhaps investigate there.
Yeah, investigate a mystery with a +1 forward.
I am using different dice. Let it be
Hey,
known.
there it is.
Still drops it.
That is a 7. That's an 8.
An 8 with the +1.
That's the 8 with the +1.
Okay.
And I am
So
pulling
that
up my
is.
questions.
Yep, you can hold 1.
I think. Yes, so between what happened here, what sort of creature is it, what can it do, what can hurt it, where did it go, what was it going to do, what is being concealed here.
Mm-hmm.
I think with Apophis telling Anne that they're just gone, Anne would try to figure out where did they go.
All right. I like that question because that question does in fact bring us to the closer that I had in store. I'm just trying to figure out how to give you this information. Okay, here's this. We are going to say that it is about this time that the 2 old men come hobbling in, and
I am back.
I got
and
gooped.
as they do, Teddy, your phone rings.
Hello.
And it is the detective. And he says, they're gone.
What's gone?
They're gone. And as he begins to explain what he means, our vision shifts back to the morgue. In the basement of the morgue, 2 people stand surrounded by 6 figures in hoodies, jeans, and sneakers. The 2 people stand back to back and look around in a panic, maybe for a way out, maybe for any form of this. But the figures slowly close in and begin chanting, "She hungers." And in a poof, Alex and the corporal are gone.
Oh no.
Chuck, who's still just finishing his fries, just like gives a satisfied, good stuff.
And that will, I feel like, be a good place to stop until next week when the session will continue.
Okay.
Dope. Yes.
Very exciting.
Very good. I have so much to write.
Yeah. You'll have an entire
Very
lead
fun.
that you didn't follow.
We do?
Yeah.
What was that?
The courthouse?
And,
Pray tell.
It's in Teddy's pocket.
The goop?
Oh,
No.
the note.
Oh my
Oh.
god, the note!
Dang it! 'Cause,
Fuck.
I love
Oh my
The
god!
goop. He says the goop. Yes, the goop is just in your pockets. Loose goop. Loose goop.
Oh my god! I even put next to Herman Powell's name. I put a little asterisk, and I was like, "Note." Oh man!
oh my gosh, because I'm like, I totally forgot about that. Oh my gosh, we're
Well,
bad.
you know,
at it.
Maybe you'll
We're
remember
bad
next
at
week.
our job.
Ugh.
Chuck is just like, oh yeah, I forgot. We got, I mean, just trying to imagine we find a third trail to follow, and trying to figure out how we all do that would have been crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But good stuff. Thank you so much. That was really good.
Yes, that was great, Dustin. Really excited for next
Yeah,
week.
thank you.
I
Really
was
excited to
terrified.
hopefully not fail.
Yeah, I was terrified that you all would be done in like an hour and a half, and I'd just be like, well, that's that, I guess. But y'all are maybe halfway through with what I have planned, so.
Perfect
I
timing.
only rolled once during this whole stream.
Yeah, don't worry, you'll get your chance. I promise.
I mean, I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
I just want the level up, man.
Yeah, when you roll, you're more likely to fail and,
Oh, yeah.
and level up. And I'm close.
That's true.
Literally 1 point away.
Chuck
from
has
leveling
only
up again.
succeeded.
Do we want to do end of session questions live on stream or off stream?
I think so. No, I think we
Sure.
should do that here. So, do you want to explain what this is, or do you want me to explain it?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because we didn't really explain it last time.
So for last stream we didn't do the end of session on live because we went very long. But for this case, for those who are getting into Monster of the Week, end of session questions are just another way for characters to gain experience. And essentially, the keeper will run us through a couple of questions about our specific session, and they are yes or no questions, and we count up the number of yeses, the number of nos, and the keeper will let us know how much experience we get from our answers. And they're all pertaining to tonight's session.
Yes, and I do believe that we agreed that I get some experience too from this one.
That is
like
correct.
the keeper, because we have our own characters as well. There will not be a new keeper next week. I will continue this. So the way that we will alternate keepers is when a mystery is done, then someone else steps in and becomes the new keeper for the next mystery. So I will continue next week, and just until this mystery finishes up. I don't know. Maybe next week we may ring out a third week from it, depending on what they decide to do. But we shall see. Anyway, so yes, end of session questions. Question number 1: did we conclude the current mystery?
No.
If y'all say yes, you are leaving Alex to an uncertain fate. Please don't do that.
We're done here. We're gonna head out. We're gonna mosey on out. See you guys.
Did we save someone from certain death or worse?
Listen, Chuck was
No.
very on the
Chuck
edge
was
there
on
from
the
his blood
pavement.
sugar.
Yeah, he would have died.
And who saved
No.
him? Exactly.
Me, Chuck. or-
Big Zitti's did.
That's true.
Big Z is the real hero of the story.
Did we learn something new and important about the world?
You could debate.
Were we aware, or like were other members of the hunter party aware of Eclipse before this encounter?
I don't think so, unless you all want to say yes, absolutely.
I mean, I think we confirmed that like Teddy and kind of Chuck were aware.
Yeah, I would believe you two for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think Anne is familiar with any groups or organizations. I think the only real info she knows is related to Alex. So, and I don't think Alex would have told her about Eclipse. So
I think Apophis knows that there's groups like that out there because I imagine he's probably been the investigation of some of them because he did not always have his human form. But I don't think he knew specifically about Eclipse. I think he was just kind of like, there's people out there who probably are in bigger groups than just random hunters. So.
Well, I feel like then this is it. This is
A yes.
yes.
Mhm.
There we go.
Mhm.
Okay, I agree with you. So that is one yes. And then the last question: did we learn something new and important about one of the hunters?
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, Dustin works with Alex
Alex.
works with Eclipse, or like Alex has connections to that.
That's-
I feel like that's important.
That's true.
we
if we're
also
talk-
learned that
No.
Teddy has a really uncomfortable collection of toys.
That's a weird way of putting that.
Well, like he described it as what, like
Children's
a body
toys.
sized
That's worse, but
it is
thing, like a body sized
Storage
Tupperware
bin.
question mark.
a Tupperware.
We also learned that
Anne is
Apophis.
terrible with her powers.
I listen. This is supposed to be a happy, safe space.
Okay.
And we learned that Apophis is a goofball who likes to play with cars.
And Chuck's parents are French.
And Chuck's parents are French, yeah, exactly.
Well, French Canadian, but you know.
Okay.
Okay, sure.
Also, the Eclipse agent did kind of drop, or I guess in kind of like a twofold kind of situation. Like some of the members learned about Eclipse, and then also learned that other members of the party are have been tied to those kinds of organizations in the past as well.
Oh yeah, because she would not be shy about saying that she knew who Teddy was.
Yeah.
Well, we also learned that they know a lot about us too. Like,
it's true.
Kind of operating under the assumption that we've all, to a certain extent, been secret from everybody else. But now I know that this Eclipse lady knows who I am and what I can do.
Which is like teleport a police car.
Unintention. If you fail bad enough, you too can teleport a police car. Don't let your dreams be dreams.
So then a yes to the last question.
Then a yes to the last question.
Yeah, we could work at it anyway.
So if you get 1 or 2 yes answers, mark 1 experience. So everybody gains 1 experience.
We're 1 away.
Guess what that means for me?
Do you level up again?
Yes, I do.
Nice.
Wow.
I'm gonna show up and Alex is just gonna be like, "How'd y'all get so buff?"
How did specifically Anne get so buff?
Chuck is still wobbling around like, I don't understand.
Cool. Well, I guess that wraps up tonight's episode, our stream.
Mm-hmm.
Cool beans. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in and staying with us for this amount of time. Please tune in next week to see how this concludes or continues. Another clap for Dustin, because he did an amazing job and a lot of fun Southern characters that did put my accent to shame, so I appreciate that. We appreciate everyone who showed up. Please take care of yourselves and have a great night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Live from New York.
And as hard as it may be to believe, I am a vampire. Well, at least partly. I don't even truly remember how this came about. You see, I had a problem with certain controlled substances. I was a user. I also gave freely out at the pharmacy connected to my clinic. There were many that I shared with. All of this culminated with one night, one bite, and my life changed forever. I'm now hunting for my sire, the one who turned me into this, and for any knowledge on my unique condition, while trying to fix the life that I found myself in. I fight the urges. I work to try and make the world now a safer place for those like I once was, and for those like I am now. To prove my humanity remains, and that I'm more than monstrous.
My name is Anne Darelay, and it's lovely to meet you. For the bulk of my career, I've been a dating coach. This has been a bit contentious for my parents, who think that there are more respectable paths for me to take. What's important to me is that I'm helping people. That's not what got me to where I am now. One day, I stirred from a nap with a message from an unseen deity looping through my head. The apocalypse is coming, it said, and it is your duty to ensure it comes to pass. Something inside me had woken up. As silly as it sounds, I had powers. A year has passed, and I'm no closer to learning the origin of these powers, or bringing about the end of days at that, but I've still found a way to put them to good use. If you ask politely, I'll still give you tips on flirting with the beautiful stranger at the bar. But if they turn out to be a shapeshifter, then I'll be the one to take them out.
I am the head of Apophis, the Egyptian snake god prophesied to swallow the sun and bring about the end of the world. I was summoned from my slumber about 20 years ago by a group who didn't understand the weight of their actions, by a group that failed to acknowledge my power. And so I was split. I should have been risen as a horrifying, monstrous snake, large enough to swallow the sun, but instead I'm just the head of one. As I wandered, contemplating the life I now had before me, this form couldn't bring about the end of days, I began to appreciate the world around me and see what it had to offer. The apocalypse is my destiny, but I'm not sure it's the future I really want.
The name's Chuck Duval, though some people might be more familiar with my old work title, the Silencer. You could say I was a hitman. I used to take out anyone for the right price, be it people or monsters. How many people I killed is a secret between me and God. I've been retired for the past couple of years, but things change. Retirement got boring, and I don't have that much time left to waste doing crossword puzzles in between my daily dose of Vicodin. So might as well use it to silence a few deadbeats on my way out.
1 second, folks. Recalibrating the sonic rifle. Almost there. Hot damn! Oh, shit. Oh, I apologize. Let me introduce myself. My name is Theodore Ulysses Franklin. You can call me Teddy. Born in good old San Antonio, Texas, back in 1959. My mama was Mexican, my daddy a cow rancher, and sí, hablo español. After graduating from MIT with various degrees, I delved into some of the fringe sciences. There, I discovered the existence of the supernatural, and I realized my purpose: researching the unexplained and protecting normal folks from the terrors in the dark. My savings went into building Old Tex, my mobile base of operations, out of the scraps of a 442 Atlantic steam locomotive. Old Tex and I travel across the country, fighting monsters, protecting people, and riding the rails.